Sahur bro.
Good
Good
morning
morning
again,
again,
everyone.
everyone.
Welcome
Welcome
back for
back
the
for the
second day
second
of
day
our
of our
talk.
talk.
It is
It is
Kiki
Kiki
yet
yet
again,
again,
your
your
MC for
MC for
today.
today.
As a
As a
reminder,
reminder,
today we will
today
be
we will be
focusing
focusing
more
more
on
on
scholarships.
scholarships.
To
To
start,
start,
I would
I
like
would
to
like to
invite Sue
invite Sue
Hao to
Hao
give
to
more
give more
insights
insights
on
on
MSI's
MSI's
website.
website.
Thank you, Kiki, and good morning, everyone. First of all, let me say a big thank you to all of you joining us today. Whether you're tuning in from your living room, your bedroom, or even your bathroom, there's no judgment here. We've all been there. We are so glad that you are here. And a huge shout out to the incredible team behind this event. First to the other two founders, Brian and Kai, who have been with me every step in building this initiative. And to our co-directors, Leo and Nesamani, and to all the MSI committee members, thank you all for making this event into a reality. You guys are the real MVPs. Now let me introduce myself. And finally, to all of you, without your curiosity and determination, this event wouldn't be possible. And a slight bias here, to all my juniors from SMK Bintulu, it's wonderful to see some of your names here. Now, let me introduce myself. My name is Yayasan Hao, and I'm one of the founders of the Malaysian Student Initiative. And for those of you who don't know me, I was raised in Bintulu, Sarawak, a small coastal town in East Malaysia. And for those of you who haven't been there before, it's a beautiful town. It's cozy and small. We don't have that much entertainment compared to the West, but I just love it. But growing up there, I realized something early on in life, which is our access to information and resources when it comes to academic related stuff, such as choosing our courses and scholarships, was, well, let's just say, slightly delayed compared to other places. But here's the thing. After flying, I've always been a dreamer. After flying abroad to the United States for the first time, after winning an innovation competition, I told myself that one day I'm going to study abroad. But the problem was I didn't know how. I didn't know what scholarships were available, how to apply for them, and even what courses to choose. When I first heard about scholarships from my seniors, I was like, wait, people actually pay for your education? You are studying abroad for free and getting monthly allowances? I was so intrigued and excited that I spent hours in front of my computer for weeks researching about these informations. However, many information was either scattered or outdated. It felt like trying to navigate a maze without a map. Fast forward a year, here we are today with the Malaysian Student Initiative. Our mission is simple, which is to provide you with the resources, the guidance and support you need to break through your limits and achieve your dreams. And now we are really excited to show you how the Malaysian Student Initiative website works and how it can benefit you. Please give me a moment for me to share my screen. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So, welcome to the Malaysian Student Initiative website. So, in our website, you're able to see on the top, you're able to see 5 main features, which are home, scholarship list, preparation, about us, and contact us. And the main feature here is the scholarship list. So let's click on the scholarship list. Going up here, you're able to see a summary of the available scholarships in Malaysia, such as Petronas, Shell, Yayasan UEM. We have the JPS scholarships. We have YPJ scholarship for the Johorians. We have Bank Negara. We have Sarawak Energy for Sarawakians. Yayasan Sabah for Sabahan. TMB, Yayasan Khazanah, FGV, YTM, Asian Scholarship, and even Sinchu Daily. These scholarships are some of the scholarships, most of the scholarships that you can apply for, and we believe that these will be a good resource for you to as a reference when you're applying for your scholarship. Now let's click on the Petronas scholarship. Down the page, you're able to see the summary and a description of this particular scholarship, and we are excited to introduce you about the Scholar Stories feature, where you've got to see actual scholars with their tips and tricks and the advices they give to all of you who are applying. So let's click on the first one, Yo Shenze. So Yo Shenze is one of our friends. He's studying data science and at the same institution as us, College Yayasan UEM. So down the page, you're able to see the mock interview questions that he has given to all of you, and what is the most crucial element to focus on during interviews, as well as the advice and tips to all of you. You're able to also get a look on what's a good resume looks like, such as this one. So basically, this is what we provide in the page. Going down, the scholar stories, you're able to see the criteria for your application and what qualifications should you achieve in order to apply. Most people might say you need to get a straight A plus to get a scholarship. I would say that that's false, because most scholarship bodies, they wouldn't actually require a really super high academic qualifications, such as this one. For UTP, for the local scholarship of Petronas, you only need to get a minimum requirement of 8 A minus, including chemistry, physics, and mathematics. And for local universities, it's a 8 A minus, including mathematics. But for the overseas programs, the requirements are slightly higher, with 4 A plus and 4 A minus, including chemistry, physics, and mathematics. So going down the page, you're able to see the documents needed while you are doing your applications. As a reminder, you guys can preparing some of the documents if you want to be more ready when the application is open for everyone to apply. Okay, so going down the page, you're able to see the courses offered, such as chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, E&E for the local program. While for the overseas, you're able to see a wider range of courses to apply. Some like economics, marketing, IT, data science, sociology, law, statistics. There's a whole bunch of courses that you can apply from. Going down, you're able to see the application process. Stage 1 is the application stage. The stage 2 is the assessment, and the stage 3 is what we call a SPA for Petronas, which is a face-to-face interview with the Petronas staffs. So in our website, we provide everything you need in order for you to prepare the best for yourself, in order to get ready for your interviews. And going down, you're able to see the bonding details, a one-to-one study duration, the application timeline. However, the timeline here is actually the last year's one, because the actual application hasn't been open yet, and we'll update it really soon for your application. Last but not least, you're able to see the number of recipients. Like last year, we got a 400 number of local applicants who managed to get the scholarships, and 200 overseas scholars. So the opportunities are actually there, and it's up to us whether we could achieve it. Now, that's all for Petronas. Let's demonstrate 2 more. Let's move on to Shell first. So me, myself, is a Shell scholar, and going down the group, it offers the same thing. And let's click on Liana's profile to take a further look into what she provided for us. You're able to see the mock interview question and answers from Liana, as well as what do you believe is the most crucial element, and the advice and tips for juniors, as well as her own resumes. These informations are exclusively for Malaysian Student Initiative members. So you won't find this information on other places, on the social medias, on the internet. Here's we only provide it through this website. Okay, and last but not least, let's demonstrate the JPA scholarship. So JPA scholarship is one of the most with 9 A+. And let's click on Winshen's profile to take a look at what she provided for us. You're able to see the tips that she provided, as well as the most crucial element as well. So going down, you're able to see the courses offered for non-engineering and non-science and technology subjects. What are the requirements, the required documents, the courses offered, and everything you need for your application. And I think that's all for the scholarship list. We have 2 more features to introduce. Let's start with preparation. We have talked about the information needed for your scholarship, but sometimes we might need even more, especially when it comes to case study and appeal letters. So for case study, it's a really important component for you to understand about like real life problem and scenario, and how you're able to provide solutions in order to solve that. Some scholarship bodies, they will have this stage for you to solve issues and see your response based on that. At the same time, if you didn't manage to land a scholarship during your first batch of application, there's something called appeal letters, where you can write to your scholarship body, such as JPA, Petronas, Yayasan UEM, to try to negotiate and increase your chances of getting the scholarship. Okay, so let's going down. There's something called sample essays. Well, applying for for scholarships like Yayasan Khazanah, Bank Negara and UEM, and Yayasan Telekom, we need to write essays. And we have provided some of the scholars' essays for you to as a reference. Let's look at Jordan's Lee essay for Yayasan. This is a really good essay, and you won't find this essay in somewhere else too. So it's a good opportunity for you to read these essays, and maybe it might give you some inspirations for you when you are writing your own essays as well. And going down, we have our last and our proudest feature of the Malaysia Student Initiative website, which is the interview question and answer. We've compiled many scholarship bodies questions, interview questions for you to practice when you are applying for your scholarships, and for you to prepare for your interviews. So basically, we've covered the interview questions from most scholarship bodies, and we believe that this will be a good resources for you. Last but not least, we've had the About Us page where you got to see what MSI is all about. You're able to meet the founders. Our Instagram account is there. You guys can follow us if you have any questions. And going down, we have our vision and mission. And I think that's all for the MSI website. If you have any comments on our website, you can click on the contact us and send your feedback to us, as well as following our Instagram account. And I think that's all from me. So as a final message, I would like to thank you all for joining. To me, you have taken the first step towards owning your future. You have decided to invest in yourself today. and we have brought together some of the best speakers and resources to help you on this journey. So wish you all the best for your applications. Let's make it happen, and I really wish to see all of you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Hao. Without further ado, let us move on with the sharing session by current scholars from a diverse collection of scholarship bodies. With that, allow me to invite our first speaker, a student in College Yayasan UEM and a fellow Petronas scholar, Wawa.
Hi guys, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, can you guys hear me clearly? All right, thank you. So I'll start now. So after you guys have listened to what Sihao talked just now, please make sure you guys visit the website, okay? It's a very good website. I've already go through each one of the features in the website. It is so cool. So for today, I'm going to delve deeper into Petronas Education Sponsorship Program, which is a scholarship offered by Petronas for Malaysian students. So next slide, please. What is PESPR? Stands for Petronas Education Sponsorship Programs. It is a full scholarship for high achieving students. And this is particularly beneficial for those who intend to pursue STEM or oil and gas related fields. So if you guys have any dream on becoming like a chemical engineers, feel free to apply to Petronas Scholarship. And one thing I wanted to note here is Petronas allow us to apply to both local studies as well as abroad. For the local studies, you can apply to University of Malaya, UTP, and many other local public as well as private universities in Malaysia. And they will sponsor you your full tuition fees. And for the abroad studies, they mainly sponsor you to the United Kingdom, to the USA, to the Australia, and few other countries. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the requirement as to who can apply. If you are a Malaysian citizen, which I'm sure a lot of you here are Malaysian citizen, you can apply to Petronas. And for the academic requirement, they requires you to have a minimum of 4A plus and 4As. Like Suha mentioned from the website just now, 8A minus if you intend to pursue the local studies, but 4A plus and 4As if you want to pursue the overseas studies. And you must be active in extracurricular activities, for example, like sports, competition, or anything extracurricular that can demonstrate that you have the ability to engage outside of classroom. And last but not least, which is one of the most important, you need to have a strong English proficiency. If you are intending to pursue local, you need a B2 CEFR. And if you are intending to pursue overseas, you need C1, which is the highest in SPM standard. So make sure that you have a good English proficiency as well as good academic and extracurricular activities. Because Petronas Scholarship, they look for students with holistic achievement. Okay, next slide, please. So here are some of the privilege that you will get if you apply to Petronas. First one, you will get a full tuition fees covered. They will give you book allowance, they will give you devices allowance, and a few other allowance. But mainly the monthly allowance. They will give you a monthly allowance for you to spend as macam like bantuan sara hidup, sort of like that. For now, it is I can't tell you the exact amount, but it's around 40% of our current minimum wage. So you guys can do the maths yourself. And then the best part is they will give you training, leadership and industrial training. So for Petronas scholars, we are divided into two type of scholars, technical and non-technical scholars. So typically for technical scholars, you guys will undergo industrial training. This is where you guys can see your seniors. They went to INSTEP in Terengganu, if I'm not mistaken, where they were exposed to the oil and rig industries. And if you are a non-technical scholars, then you have to go through a leadership training. So non-technical scholars, macam economics, accounting, finance. We also have actuarial science, and those are like some of the training that you'll go under when you apply for Petronas. And next, you got to network with top professionals that are working in Petronas or ex-Petronas employees. You can network with them. You can ask them many questions. And throughout the course of your scholarship, you'll be given exposure to Petronas working environment. And last but not least, you'll get a career placement after graduating. So after you finish or completed your undergraduate studies, you are required to serve the bonds. The bond period typically lasts around 5 to 6 years. It depends on your contracts. But this is a good opportunity for those who are wanting to pursue engineering and STEM field, because you guys will get a job right after graduation. Next slide, please. Okay. So in this slide, I will delve deeper into the application process. Just like Siu Hao mentioned in the website just now, we have three applications, three stages of application. The first one is the online application, where you are required to submit all the documents that are needed. So tips for you to pass the first stage is to make sure that all the requirements, all the documents that you have submitted meet the minimum requirement, as well as are certified and verified by people that can verify the document lah. So once you have done that, inshallah, there'll be no problem. You guys can pass the first stage. Next, we go on to the second stage, where you guys are required to complete an online quiz. From my experience last year, we are required to play a game, but this game is to test your cognitive ability, like how fast you think, your speed reaction, and also maybe a little bit on how your accuracy also. So different year it differs, but what I can say is that it typically it's there to test your personality and cognitive ability. So make sure you can prepare well for the second stage. And after you pass the second stage, which is online, you guys are required to go to the third stage, which we call as student potential assessment. And this is a physical interview, conducted in certain locations throughout Malaysia. And you guys are required to engage in a group interview. They'll give you a case study, which I will touch on later. And so typically, you guys are going to be interviewed by Petronas employee, senior employee, and they just wanted to see how well you speak, your thoughts on the case studies, and also your thinking process. Next slide, please. Okay. Oh, I thought there was a new slide. Oh, it's okay. I'll just talk it. I'll just go through some of the topics in the case study that you guys have to pay attention to. You guys have to be well versed in the business of Petronas, because you know Petronas, they are in the oil and gas industry, and it is evolving each year. So they wanted to know more about what can you bring to the table to the business. So you guys must be well versed in the topic of sustainability, something like renewable energy. Jot this down, guys. Jot this down, because it could be your next interview topic. Climate change or environment. So from my past experience last year, I got a topic of circular flow of economy, and I believe that falls under sustainability, but I could be wrong. Okay. So I think I still have a few times. So I just wanted to go through like what are the scholarships, like the course offered by Petronas, as well as the course offered, as well as the country that you can go to. So first one is chemical engineering. You can go to both the United Kingdom or the United States. And then you have petroleum engineering. You can only go to the US. And we also have, what else? Computer science or software engineering. You can go to the United States. And we have economics, where you guys can go to both the United Kingdom and the United States. And then you have accounting and finance, which is my course. You can only apply to UK with the course. And then we also have law. You guys can only apply to the United Kingdom with the law, if you guys want to pursue law. And then we also have actuarial science. We have geology. We also have psychology, and some other views that you guys can go through the website. I believe they display there in the website. So if you guys have any macam like you guys want to know more, you guys can go through the website and go through the slides itself. Okay. That's all from me. Thank you so much. If you guys have any question, you guys can send it in the comment and I'll try to answer them on the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Wawa. Next, we have Rishika, a Shell scholar who is also currently studying at College Yayasan UEM.
Thank you so much, Kiki. First of all, hello again, everyone. For those of you who remember me from yesterday's live stream, great to see you back again. And if you missed it, don't worry, you can catch up on all the great insights from yesterday's session on the MSI's YouTube channel. All right, so today I will be sharing about something that's very special to me, which is the Shell Malaysia Scholarship Program. All right, so we will start off with a brief introduction on myself first. Next slide, please. All right, so I'm currently studying A-levels at College Yayasan UEM, and I was an alumna of SMK Putri Seremban, where I graduated with 10A plus in SPM. And I guess a fun fact about me is that I was invited to Istana Sri Menanti for achieving straight A plus in SPM by Yang Tuan Besar Negeri Sembilan, and I also am obsessed with green tea. All right, moving on. Okay, so the journey as a Shell scholar, right? It first starts off with your preparatory program, which is a 24-month program. You will take A-levels at College Yayasan UEM. So College Yayasan UEM is one of the top A-level colleges in Malaysia, and you will be surrounded with like-minded individuals, very bright students. So it's definitely a very good opportunity. After you've completed your A-levels, you will proceed to an undergraduate degree. And this will be either in the UK, US, or Australia. And you have the flexibility to really choose which country you would like to go. And even the course, you have the flexibility to change after you have just finished your AS level. So it's definitely a great opportunity if you're not very fixated on which course that you would like to pursue. And after you finish your graduation, you will also be absorbed into the Shell graduate program together with guided internships. So yes, there is a 5-year bond, but think of it as a 5-year head start in your career, because the Shell scholarship program is not just about financial aid, because they cover your tuition fees, your living expenses, your books, and other allowances. So it's definitely a very good opportunity. So definitely apply for this scholarship. It's a very lucrative offer. All right, moving on. Okay, so this slide is basically the list of approved universities that you can attend for free if you get the Shell scholarship. So we have the Ivy Leagues, we have the Russell Group universities. I know some of you have dreams of wanting to study at Oxford, Cambridge. So think of it like you can actually study for free if you get the scholarship. So definitely don't miss out on the opportunity. Actually, in the US, you have around 13 universities that you can go to, but I just couldn't fit it all into one slide. So definitely check out Shell's official website to get the complete list. You have around 6 universities that are approved in the UK, 13 in the US, and 2 in Australia. So it's definitely a strict list, but trust me, if you work hard, I believe that you guys can reach your dreams. All right, moving on. Okay, so I guess this is the most anticipated part, which is my personal experience going through the application stage, right? It first starts off with the online application. And good news to you guys, you don't have to submit any sort of essays. And it was probably the fastest application that I've done, because I just had to connect my LinkedIn account to the application website. And I was done with the application within like 10 minutes. And I guess you have to also submit a resume. And in terms of your resume, I'll share some personal tips that I believe would make the cut. First of all, you have to make sure that your resume looks good at the first glance, because you need to make an immediate impression, right? Because they need to be interested at first glance when they see your resume. So it has to be visually appealing. At the same time, it has to also be structured very well. And secondly, you also have to include your most recent and relevant experiences first. So put your current education and achievements first, include any research projects or maybe some significant class projects that you took on with your friends, and you to sort of show your dedication towards that field of study that you would like to pursue. And thirdly, also make sure that your resume is well-rounded. Don't be very how to say inclined towards just one field of competitions that you joined. Show your work outside of classroom as well, because they are really looking for holistic individuals whom are very well-rounded. They look for what you do outside of your classroom. For example, maybe you do community work, because it gives a different impression from the very start. So these are just some tips for you to create a very good resume. And yeah, the application stage starts with the online application. And after that, you'll be invited for the second stage, which is the virtual job tryout. Right. So the virtual job tryout is actually very interesting because it's almost like you're getting a sneak peek of what working at Shell would actually be like. So during this stage, you will have around 7 days to complete both the virtual job tryout and the on-demand interview. So in the virtual job tryout, what kind of questions might they ask, right? You might be wondering. So first of all, they'll ask you situational judgment tests. So they'll ask you questions or like scenarios that you may face in real work life environment. So for example, they may ask like, how would you handle conflicting project deadlines? Or like, what would you do if your supervisor gives you a lot of work? They really want to see your personality and how you work as a team, because after all, they're not just hiring scholars, but they are choosing their future employees. So you have to approach your interview in that sense. All right. Secondly, they'll also ask you like personality-based questions, how your work style is, your preferences, how you handle teamwork, your leadership experiences. So they may ask you like, how do you handle diversity in your workplace? So these are just some very interesting questions. Trust me, it's not like testing your mathematics or your English abilities, but it's a very fun game-based assessment. So it's very interactive. Towards the end, you also have like a simulated email response kind of activity. So it's a very fun stage. But I guess the most important tip for you guys is to definitely research on Shell's core values, which is honesty, integrity, and respect. And when you are answering your questions based on situations, make sure you pick the answers that sort of aligns towards their core values, because that shows that you are the perfect fit for their scholarship body. All right, and then you will have, once you pass that stage, you will be invited to an on-demand interview. So this is basically they will record certain questions, and then they'll give you like a prompt. After that, you have to record yourself answering those questions. And I will share some tips on how you can answer or sort of structure in a very structured way after this. All right, moving on. Okay, the third stage is basically an impromptu phone call. Okay, so here's the thing. Once I finished my virtual interview, there was like a huge gap before I received any call, right? So I think it was around 2 weeks and I had no response from Shell. And I thought, okay, maybe I just got rejected. And suddenly, I think it was around 10 a.m. I woke up and then I received a call from this unknown number, right? And they were like, hi, we're calling from Shell. If you're okay, are you okay with like an impromptu interview right now? So definitely be prepared for any sort of scenarios that they may ask. And I think my tip right here goes back to the tip yesterday that I shared, which is on self-reflection. Because if you have done your self-reflection, you will understand who you are as a person. And so you don't really have to prepare much because you already have every information at the back of your mind. So they'll ask you reflective kind of questions. They will highlight on your resume what you noted on your resume. They'll ask you, okay, what did you do in this competition? Or like, what was your leadership experience? Or like, what are your future plans once you have graduated? So if you have done self-reflection, you already have these answers in mind. So definitely check out yesterday's session if you missed it, guys. All right. And lastly is the final stage. So once I finished the impromptu video call, right? They told me that, okay, you're selected for the final stage of interview, and this will be with the board of trustees of Shell Malaysia. And it's basically a competency-based interview. Okay, what is a competency-based interview, right? They are looking for evidence based on three aspects. First of all, your capacity, your capacity for analysis, decision making, and also creating workable solutions. Secondly, they are looking for your achievement, right? Your drive, your enthusiasm to set yourself and others challenging targets. And are you able to go against the crowd whenever it's necessary? And thirdly, they're also looking for your relationships and how you are with other people, your genuine respect and your concern for other people. Because as I mentioned earlier, Shell's core values are honesty, integrity, and respect. And they would like to find for evidence in your answers. All right, moving on. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, a good way to structure your competency-based interview questions, your answers, would be the STAR method. The STAR method stands for situation, task, action, and results. All right, so I'll just give you a sample question and how I would answer the question so you guys can sort of learn from the answer itself. All right, so maybe the question that they're going to ask you is, okay, give me an example of a project that you had to work collaboratively with others from different backgrounds. So this question is gauging into how you deal with diversity, right? So first, you describe the situation. Think of a situation where you had to deal with people from different backgrounds. Okay, so maybe I would talk about a leadership camp, an international leadership camp that I participated. And in that leadership camp, I had to deal with people from different backgrounds, and many of them, English was not their first language. So that was the main challenge that I had to face. And secondly, you have to explain the task or what you guys had to do. In that case, I had to prepare a presentation as a team, and I was a team leader. So you have to basically describe what were the challenges that you face in the team. And I guess the most important part of your answer is the action. They want to see how you work as a team, right? So you have to focus on your action more than the competition itself. So you can say that, okay, I assessed each strengths, and then I delegated the task accordingly. And then after that, I also created an inclusive environment where everyone felt comfortable sharing their ideas. And then I also adapted my leadership styles according to different cultural approaches. So my advice to you is to definitely read up and do your research on the scholarship body and their core values, and try to align your answers and your experiences according to their core principles. And lastly, you can highlight on the results that maybe you guys successfully delivered a high quality presentation, or maybe you develop core skills. You realize that diversity is actually the strength of a team rather than a weakness. And so try to, I guess, articulate your points well, but don't be very spiral. Um, don't tell the same information again and again. You try to give them as much as you can, but focus on the action. All right, moving on. Okay, so some questions for you to think about, right? These are some questions that I was asked during my interview. So it could be almost the same for you guys, but you can search up for competency-based interview questions to get a more comprehensive list. So they may ask you like, okay, can you describe a situation where you faced criticisms or setbacks? I guess this is a pretty difficult question because we don't like to talk about our lowest moments in life, right? I guess try to be as genuine as possible in your answers. And it's okay to show your weaknesses to them because they are also looking for your self improvement, right? What are you doing to work towards a better version of yourself? And secondly, they may ask you also a situation where you had to deal with difficult decision with ethical implication. Maybe you were the prefect of your school and your friend did something wrong, but are you going to report about the incident to your teacher? Basically, things relating back to your integrity or your respect towards others. So I will leave this slide for you guys to think about because we're running out of time. All right, moving on. Okay, so I guess some general tips for you guys to ace your Shell Scholarship interview is number one, to be genuine in your answers. Definitely don't sugarcoat anything because the interviewers will ask follow-up questions based on what you have said earlier, and they will nitpick certain things that they feel that you are saying are false. So definitely be genuine in your answers. It's okay to show your true self. If you are introverted, that's totally fine, right? Just be yourself and yeah, show your best version of yourself. And secondly, my tip is to show and don't tell. Don't tell that, okay, I am great at communicating my ideas, but show how did you do. Maybe you did public speaking, maybe you did debating. So show concrete evidence for every single answer that you are telling to them. And thirdly, practice makes perfect. If you can reach out to seniors for mock interviews, maybe speak to your friends, speak to your parents, practice speaking, because the way that you have ideas in your mind may differ as to how you would express it in an interview, because you're nervous, right? You because the final stage of interview is around 1 hour, and you're against like probably the biggest people in Shell Malaysia. So that can be really I guess excruciating. But yeah, practice will make you more confident and motivated to tell your answers. And lastly, to align your experiences with their core values, as I've been mentioning earlier, their core values is honesty, integrity, and respect. So make sure that you align all of your answers according to them. Right, moving on. And I guess here comes the best part. The letter of agreement of you achieving that scholarship. And honestly, I would say that this is probably one of the happiest moments of my life, because I personally never realized how competitive Shell was. But trust me, your hard work will pay off eventually. And don't feel demotivated if probably you don't have excellent ECAs, or you don't have straight A plus. Don't worry, because they are looking into your holistic self. And I guess just apply for the scholarship. Don't get demotivated. Don't compare yourself to others, because you have something unique, that and trust that the interviewers will see your uniqueness. All right, moving on. And this is just some pictures, some compilation from the Shell Malaysia Scholarship Awards Day. You can see our founder over there, Siu Hao. So I guess I'm very grateful for the opportunity, because um, I really love my Shell family, because they're very supportive with each other. We always help out, and we're studying the same college, KYUM right now. And yeah, so I hope to see you guys in KY this year as well. So good luck applying for the scholarships, and just apply for everything and trust in the process. It's okay if you experience failures, because I did not get all the scholarship that I applied as well. So yeah, definitely believe in the process, believe in yourself, have confidence, have faith, and your hard work will pay off. All right, I think that is all from me. If you have any questions, we will answer them at the very end of today's session. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rishika. So actually, before we move on to our next speaker, I want to highlight that the Slido link has been shared in the chat. So if you guys have any questions that you guys want to ask to the speakers, feel free to drop your questions. Okay. Next, we have Amir, who is studying specifically for Ambang Asuhan Jepun at University Malaya, and he will talk more about JPA Mara.
Right. Am I audible? Right, let's start. So, good morning, everyone, and I am Amir, and I'm going to talk about GPA Mara. And besides GPA Mara, I also have other topics to discuss, which is the other JPA scholarships, and I'll be giving you guys general information on other JPA scholarships. So, moving on. So as you know, I'm studying in AAJ right now, Abang Asan Jepun, which is a specifically designed program for students. It's a 2-year program, and then after that, we will continue our first degree in Japan. So first of all, let's introduce all the 4 different JPA scholarship programs. And my one is the PKJM, and there are 3 others, and I will give general information on all of these other scholarships. So first of all, we have program has JKPJ, which is Japan, Korea, France, and Germany. Then we have JPA Mara, PKJM, and then we have JPA LSPM, JPA PPN. So these are the 4 JPA scholarships that you need to know about in order for you to determine where you want to go in the future. So next, please. Right. So I'll go first with the JPA LSPM and JPA PPN. So as for the eligibility, this scholarship is offered to all Malaysian citizens. So all Warga Negara students are welcome to apply this scholarship. Only that these two scholarships, the requirements are quite high, which is the SPM result will be needed to reach at least 9A plus, especially for JPA PPN. It's an overseas JPA program. You have to get 9A plus minimum. And for all other subjects, if you take other subjects, you have to obtain at least an A minus or an A, if I'm not mistaken. But for JPA LSPM, when you get 9A plus, your other subjects grades do not matter that much. So the conclusion is that JPA PPN is more strict, but both of them are very difficult to get because it heavily relies on your SPM result first. So about the other eligibilities is that eligibility is that students who apply for the scholarship programs, and I'm sure for other scholarship programs also, is that you have to be healthy and free of any chronic diseases. So in order to get awarded this scholarship, you have to go through medical examinations in order to confirm your health status. And also your parents and guardians should not be blacklisted by the JPA. So let's move on to JPA LSPM. JPA LSPM is the only program out of all the other programs that offers students to study in local universities. This program is offered to 200 students only. And basically, this scholarship supports your education through pre-university and also your first degree. And it is open to all different courses, but there are a few exceptions, which I have listed some of them here, which is education and aviation and etc. For more information, you can just search it up on Google and you should be able to find it. JPA-PPN. So JPA-PPN is a program for only 20 students. So how does this work? Is that when on a certain date, list of names will be presented, which means that all the different students from Malaysia will be listed their names. So I don't think anyone, not everyone can apply it lah. Even I didn't think I made the list because I didn't get 9A plus. But from the list of names are the students that are eligible to apply for JPA PPN. So after that, then you will go through the same application process as the other JPA scholarship programs. So for JPA PPN, the preparation program will be held in KYUEM. And for your first degree, it will be in one of the 20 universities according to the QS World University Rankings. And these universities are located in America and United Kingdom. So next, please. So as for JPA, JPKJ, and JPA PKJM, the eligibility is, the requirements are less strict than the PPN and LSPM scholarships, in which you only have to obtain like A or A plus in certain subjects, mostly STEM, because it is focused to STEM courses such as science, technology, engineering, AI, computer engineering, and stuff like that. So as for JPA KBKJ, this scholarship is also students, and the courses available are science and technology, social sciences, engineering, and etc. But all related to the STEM field. And the available countries, the countries that are offered in this scholarship include Japan, Korea, Germany, and France. And so the eligibility for JPA, JBKJ is the same for all other JPA scholarships, which is citizens, Malaysian citizens, healthy, and parents and guardians are not blacklisted by the JPA. Right. So next slide, please. So this is my program, which is JPA Mara PKJM. So this program, the requirements are quite different, which is the scholarship is only offered to Bumi Putra students. So this is the only JPA scholarships that is only for Bumi Putra students. So don't worry, all the other scholarships are open even if you're not a Bumi Putra. And all the other rules and regulations are the same as every other JPA scholarships. And this JPA scholarship specifically is a collaboration between JPA and MARA. And I think that's why the requirements are slightly different. I'm not sure. So the academic qualifications for JPA MARA PKJM, it varies based on the different courses that you choose. For my course specifically, which is science technology in Japan, I have to at least get A or A plus in BM, BI, additional mathematics, physics, and chemistry. So this means that you cannot get an A minus, you have to get A and above. So you only have to focus on these subjects, and if you pass the qualifications, then you can apply for this program. So all the JPA scholarships that I have introduced to you guys right now, just now, is all of the scholarships are a variable and convertible loan depending on terms and conditions. So there are 4 conditions, which is after you finish studying, you go back to Malaysia and work for the government, then the loan will be converted into a full scholarship, which means that you do not have to pay anything back to the JPA. And second is that you work for GLCs. GLCs are like government-linked companies, for example, Petronas, um, yeah, etc. Shell, something like that. So if you work for GLCs, you will only have to pay back 25% the total loan. And if you work for the private sector, you have to pay 50% back of the total loan. But if you decide to run away from Malaysia and work somewhere else where nobody can, get you, so you have to pay back 100% because JPA will get you. So as far as I know, the bond between you and JPA, myself, actually is quite long, which is 8 years. And yeah, it's up to you guys. If you want to pay full, then don't work with the government. If you don't want to pay, then work with the government. So I myself have not decided what to do. I'll think about it later. So yeah, this is the brief introduction and terms and conditions of all the different GPA scholarships. So yeah, that's it. Next, please. Right, so let's talk about the process of application. So the application for GPA scholarships have 3 stages. One is everyone needs to fill out the application form available on GPA websites. Don't worry, it will be announced throughout the nation when the application is open. After you go through the application form, I forgot to add this, you have to answer 2 questions or quizzes regarding your personality, and also another quiz I can't remember, but it's basically a list of questions and quizzes that determine whether or not you will get accepted into the next stage. So there are 4 stages actually. I'm sorry. So after you are accepted, after the 2 quizzes and the 2 question forms, then you will be invited to the SAC, which is the Student Assessment Center. So during this stage, you are divided into groups of 4, which is this is my group right there. This is my group of 4, and you will be interviewed both individually and also as a group. So and then after that, you will wait for like a few weeks, months, I can't remember, and then you will receive the result. So actually, I received the result when I was already doing my foundation in University Malaya, so it's quite late actually. And don't worry, there are also second intakes and third intakes. So if you don't get it on your first try, then it's fine. So about the SAC interview, as I already told you earlier, applicants will be divided in groups of 4. First, self-introduction, individual assessment, and lastly, group activity. And these are all important components that you need to excel in order for the JPA interviewers to see that you are worth their investment. So yeah, next please. So about the interview. So what should you prepare? The interviewer's language is highly dependent on the interviewers. So you should try to improve both your Malay and English proficiency, as you will use both languages during this interview. And Next is do a lot of research on your particular course. For example, me, why do I want to go to Japan? Why Japan? Why Japan? Why Japan? Why Japan? Why this course? So you have to ask yourselves constantly why you choose that course, because it will be asked eventually. And lastly, speak with a loud and clear voice. And here are some of the example questions that I was asked and my friends were asked. I'll read one of them. What do you hope to achieve from studying abroad? So for JPA scholarships specifically, you have to love the nation. You have to love Malaysia. You have to say that I'm going to come back and work for Malaysia. I'm going to contribute back to the nation. This is very vital because JPA is very particular on that topic and matter. So yeah, next, please. All right. So why did I choose JPA Mara PKJM? So first of all, I wanted to go to Japan, and you also get a monthly allowance. And for students that live in Sabah and Sarawak, there are also special allocations for you guys if you want to like go home on semester breaks or something like that. And as for my personal experience, the education quality is top notch. I learned from native Japanese speakers and Japanese high school students that are, you know, brought here in Malaysia, and I learned from them. So I think that it is a very, fun experience also. And as for AAG students, we are about 40 something ish, and we are allocated at the same residential college. So it's very easy for us to communicate, to work together, and it's just a fun experience overall. So next, please. Right. So here are some of the activities and pictures that I got studying in AJ. It is a very fun experience, and this is just AJ. Remember, there are also other opportunities for JPA scholarships. For example, you can go do medicine in India or any other experience. This is just my personal experience, and I think that I'm very grateful to be given this opportunity, and I wish you guys the best. I wish you guys that I hope you guys do well in your interviews, that you guys are able to get scholarships in order to aid your education and also to contribute back to Malaysia. So I think that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amir, for your sharing. Let us now move on to our next speaker, Alicia from College Mara Banting, to share more about White Mara.
Right. So, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today I will talk about YTP Mara. But first of all, I would like to thank MSI for the opportunity, for giving me the opportunity to talk today. And before I into my slide, my name is Alisha Kudri, and currently I'm taking IB at College Mara Banting under YTP Mara. And previously, I studied at Sekolah Menengah Sains Banting Basis. So moving on to the next slide. All right. So, before I start, YTP Mara is not full scholarships. It's a beasiswa pinjaman boleh ubah. That means after you finish your degree, after you finish your study, you will need to pay some percent of the amount that it was given to you by Mara. For example, as for me, inshallah, I will be studying in UK. So Mara will give me plus minus amount of 1.2 million. So I will need to pay 10 to 25% of that 1.2 million after I finish my study. So how much how much exactly do I need to pay is depend on my degree result later, my CGPA later. So if I score well in my degree, I will only need to pay 10% of that 1.2 million. That means after I finish my study, I will need to pay my student loan, which is about 120,000 ringgit. So that's about YTP Mara. And also YTP Mara offer a lot of program. There's preparatory program for both overseas and local university as well. For overseas university, there are A levels for the A levels also IB for countries like UK, US, Australia, Canada, and also Ireland. And there are also pre-Korea, pre-France, and more.
And then YTP Mara also offer preparatory program for local universities, which is foundation. And lastly, there is also Ulul Albab program for both local and overseas universities. For local university, there's foundation plus tahfiz program, while for overseas university, there's pre-Jordan program. So moving on to the next slide. So this is the poster for last year program for 2024, and usually the application will open after the SPM result are released. So the application will usually last for 2 weeks. So please check about the offer and poster always, because usually after the poster is released, they will also release a PDF online about all the programs offered and also about all the requirements. Because of there will be a lot of programs offered by YTP Mara. I cannot explain about all the requirements needed, because mostly I'm not talking about all, is mostly of the most of program for overseas university, the minimum requirement will be 7A, including A minus, while the local university the minimum requirement usually will be 6A, including A minus as well. But do check and do your research as well, because it's the YTP Mara offer too much program. So moving on to the next slide. So this is the flow of the application for YTP Mara. First of all, is the online application. For online application, I advise you to do your research well, because there, like I said before, there are so many programs. For example, if you are aiming to study in United States or United Kingdom, YTP Mara offer you to take IB or A level as your preparatory program. So do your research well, the pros and cons for A levels and also IB, and pick ones that you're good at. Because for example, A level they offer 100% examination based, while IB it's not 100% examination based. So do your research well about what this program is, what that program is, and pick what's best for you in your opinion, because you know yourself better. So do your research well, and then do submit relevant documents that are required in that online application as well. And next, there will be two psychometric tests. Last year there are two psychometric tests, but maybe it depends on the year as well. And next, for the interview, only applicants who apply for overseas university that will go through the interview. If you're applying for local universities, there will be no interview. That means for your result, only your online application and also your SPM results and also your psychometric result, only that two will be considered for your offer. But if you're applying for overseas university, you have to go through the interview, which I will be explaining later on the next slide. And then lastly will be the result. So moving on to the next slide. So this is how the interview works. First, last year I took the interview at Bangi, and the interview lasts for 3 days for all applicants, but mine was during the morning session on a Saturday. So for YTP Mara, there would be a lot of students at the interview. So yes, they will feel pressure and all, because there would be so many applicants. But first, during the interview, you will be divided into many groups. Usually there will be 5 to 6 people per group. And then you will be seated in a straight line according to your numbers from 1 to 6. But don't worry, the numbers doesn't really matter. Anyone can answer the question when the interviewer asks. Okay, and then for the interview, there will be two parts. First is the question answer session, and second is the case study session. But in terms of language, usually the interview will depends on the interviewer whether the interviewer prefer you to speak in English or Malay. During my interview, for the first session, the interviewers specify that they prefer us to speak in English. While for the case study, the interviewer said it doesn't matter if we want to speak in English or Malay. But I asked my friends after we got the interviewer didn't specify whether they want to speak in English or Malay. So it really up to the interviewer, but just be ready if they want you to speak in English or even Malay. So for the first session, which is the question answer session, this is just some of the question. Berdasarkan pengalaman anda, bagaimana anda sebagai pelajar yang cemerlang dalam akademik dan aktif dalam kurikulum merancang masa dengan baik. And the second example is, what are your biggest challenges to be a good leader? So for this first session, usually the question will be more about situation-based question. So I advise you to relate to your experience before in high school, because when you relate to your experience, this the answer will become more relatable and stronger lah, in my opinion. So for example, if the interviewer asks, how did you manage your time, how did you juggle between academic and also curriculum in your school, at your school, so do relate it to your experience back in high school, because I believe that so that it would more that answer will become more stand out at for the interviewer. So even if you don't have the experience, just try. I'm not saying that you should lie, but just try to relate it to your experience. And then for the case study, the second session, this is just some of the topics. Usually for the case study, the interviewer will open an envelope in front of you guys, and then there's topic and also a questions. So some of the example is lambakan sayur dalam negara, which or gig economy, which I got last year. So for the case study, usually you and your teammates will be discussing one topics, and then you guys will have 1 point each and discuss that in your team. So basically, I think that all the questions for YTP Mara interview is basically all the typical question that will be asked for any scholarship interview. So I know it will be nerve wracking. It was so nervous for an interview, but just try to be as relaxed as you can, because I think if you're nervous, it will you will struggle a bit during the interview. So moving on to the next slide, which is the last slide. All right, so these are the tips for both the application and also the interview. First of all, be prepared. What do I mean by be prepared? Every scholarship body, they have their own aim. For example, YTP Mara, during the interview, you will notice that they will constantly ask question about, oh, will you come back to Malaysia after you finish your study overseas? So always answer that yes, I will come back to Malaysia. Even if you plan not to, just say that you will come back to Malaysia. If they ask, oh, why you wanting to come back to Malaysia, when there are jobs overseas that apply far more salary in Malaysia, just ask, oh, I just say that you love Malaysia, you want to come back to Malaysia and all. And second, demonstrate interest and confidence. Do have a lot of knowledge about your course, about your country that you are aiming for. And lastly, highlight your unique achievements. For example, if you did a lot of co-curriculum, maybe in debate or public speaking in your high school, do highlight that and highlight all your achievement during the interview. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
A big thank you to Alicia. Next, currently studying in College Yayasan UEM and a recipient of the Pemodalan National Berhad, or in short, PNB Scholarship, I invite Nadi to give her sharing.
Hi everyone. Sorry. My name is Karina Devati Wajasri. I am a PNB scholar, and today I will be presenting about PNB itself. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is PNB actually? PNB is one of the largest fund management company in Malaysia. It was established on 17 March 1978, which is almost 50 years ago, as one of the instruments of government's new economic policy. Some of you may know this from sejarah textbooks. So, talking about the scholarship itself, PNB Global Scholarship Award is an initiative by Permodalan National Berhad aimed at nurturing outstanding Malaysian talents and preparing future leaders with a global perspective. Now, some of you may know the Menara 118, the tallest building in Malaysia. It's actually owned by PNB. So if you were to work in PNB, you would actually work at Merdeka 118. Okay, next slide, please. So what do you need to know? Scholars will complete their A levels at College Yayasan UEM. You will have no other choices, and every year they will select around 25 peoples. Though this number may vary as based on their predictions. And scholars must serve a minimum bond of 8 years with PNB. So after my degree, I have to work with them for 8 years, and then I will maybe, if I do well, I can continue with them or find jobs in other places. PNB scholars are to pursue their degrees at only in the top 10 universities in the UK and the US. you can have the choice to choose whether you want to go to the UK or the US. And there's a wide range of courses available, but applicants must justify how their chosen field will contribute to PNB's objectives. So for example, when I was applying for PNB, I saw that in the list there was something like culinary or something. But yeah, you will have to you have to like give them like a strong reason like why you would be the perfect candidate for them. And lastly is the selection process consists of 5 stages. Next slide. So the minimum requirements is first you have to obtain a minimum of 8 A's, which is A and A plus only in SPM. You also have to have a B2 in the CEFR grade in SPM, and you must not exceed 19 years of age. You must have to be active in co-curricular and sport activities, and a team player and possess good leadership qualities and communication skills. Next. Well, I want to get to the interesting part, which is the stages of application. Now, the first one is the online application, and you will have to do 3 essays. The first one is experiences in school that has had the biggest impact on the candidate. There is no word limit for this one. And second one and third one is software or computer skills or other skills. So basically, for all 3 of these essays, they will not require you to actually fill it in. However, I do notice that most of my scholars, they actually did like at least 2 out of those 3 essays. And what I can give you advice on is that since it's an experience essay, please write it from the bottom of your heart. Say how that experiences has changed you into someone that is way different from who you are now. And be careful for the software and other skills. This is that at 2040 characters only. I mistook it for 2040 word count limit. So I actually did way more than I was supposed to, because 2000 characters is like a really short paragraph. And you should treat this as a resume, because PNB doesn't really require you to show your resume in the documents they ask for. So yeah, next. Okay, I put stage 2 and stage 4 together. Obviously, for you to go through to stage 4, you have to pass stage 3 first. However, I see that stage 2 and stage 4 is quite similar. That's why I put it on the same slide. So stage 2 is basically a gamified aptitude assessment, consists of game-like elements to evaluate a candidate's skills, behavior, and personality. This one, my suggestion is that if you want to prepare for it, go find out gamified test assessments, and it's kind of fun, but you will have to be very very focused, and it will take a lot of your brain power. And the next stage is stage 1, which is critical reasoning task battery assessment and personality test. For this one, there will be verbal reasoning, inductive reasoning test, and numerical reasoning. This is basically like an IQ test. It's very stressful. You will have your brain cramped up, especially since you haven't used your brain for like a few months after SPM. And for the personality test, I suggest you to be as don't be don't lie to them and say that you're like a perfect person. Everyone knows that you're not perfect. So be truthful on how you present yourself. Okay. Next one, please. Okay, stage 3. Stage 3, I think for me, is the best out of all the stages. Applicants are invited to Menara PNB, not Menara 108, to or any other location depending on where you live in Malaysia. So, for example, my friend in Kelantan, she had to go to one of the PNB's locations in Kelantan, and there will be multiple activities to test your teamwork, leadership, skills, and confidence. So, these games included were Waterhouse, which deals with negotiation and sacrificing for the team. This is one of the best games I've played. I will explain later. And next one is memory card, working out the most efficient team management method, sail the ship, working physically and commanding a team. Okay, so I will explain a little bit out of all these 3 games. First one is Waterhouse. Waterhouse, sorry, deals with negotiation and sacrificing for the team. Basically, what you need to show here is that please make sure you're not too overpowering over all of the other candidates. If you did, I suggest you to, and you realize sometimes it's a bit of like it's a bit of a habit. You don't realize it, you just subconsciously do it. And I get that. And that's exactly what happened to me. So at the end of the game, um one of my team members actually said it out loud, and I had to accept responsibility. I had to like, okay, I'm sorry, that was my fault, and I promise to do better, blah blah blah. So yeah, and the second one is memory card. This one is just You just have to figure out the best way, because it's a memory card, but you have to play it in a game. So you have to figure out the best way in which like you guys can win. So it like involves a lot of teamwork. And then the next one is sail the ship. Now, the sail the ship is basically you have to work with others. Sometimes you will be the leader, you will command other people, and you will have to follow your instructions. Sometimes you will be the listener, where you have to follow the leader's instructions. Sometimes what I realize is that if you want to be a leader, you don't have to like command 24/7. You also have to have the ability to actually listen to your teammates. Now, additionally, you will also have to do a short research on a topic and present it to an assessor. This one is basically just to get out your confidence levels. And yeah, for this stage, a lot of people will be panicking over it, but I suggest you to not panic at all. Like at all, you do not have to have any preparations for this stage. It's very fun. You just have to be there. If you are an introvert, I suggest you to be false for a day. I need you to cooperate and show your leadership skills at least a little bit. So yeah. And last one, please. Now, this is stage 5. Stage 5 is very fun. No, it's not fun. But basically, you will, after a rigorous selection process, like 3,000 of almost 5, I guess, I'm not sure. Almost 5,000 people applied. At this stage at this stage, only 100 candidates will be invited for an interview at Madarica 118. So for me, I went up to the 92nd floor, which was really fun. It was like fun seeing all the people down there. Now for PNB, it's not really a hard interview, I might say. You can expect a typical interview, so prepare common questions in advance. So one of the few common questions that I can think of right now is so why did you choose PNB? They will ask. What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Blah blah blah. And for your information, I took 3 whole days to prepare for this interview. I came up with all the common questions I could think of, and I prepared an answer. But please, I need to advise you to never memorize a script. You have to show that. You have to show that. Sometimes I. You have to show that you're not really memorizing that basically. Now, tips and advice. Please research PNB, understand your mission, and think about how you can contribute. Basically know the role. What I mean by this is you remember that you will serve a bond as an investment analyst. That's one thing I forgot to mention. When you go to an interview, they will always say that after your degree, you will become an investment analyst, no matter what your course is. So even though you apply for chemical engineering, data science, applied physics, you have to work as an investment analyst also, and understand what the role entails and how your course aligns to it. So the last one is group assessment. You have to aim to lead when needed, but also be prepared to follow. Basically, in my group, I had to like prompt. I had a few members who were struggling to answer their questions, so I kind of helped them a little bit, like asking questions like, "Oh, how did that happen? Would you like to elaborate more?" Blah blah blah, and know when to be quiet and when to speak up. Okay, now going back to the first advice, the research PMB, understand your mission and think about how you can contribute to them. So I think it's very important for me to advise to you, if you were to get into this stage, please, please, please know more about your course and why you want to do it. So for me, I chose finance, and it's easy for me because my course aligns with PMB. Like I'm a finance, they're an investment company, it's easy. But some of my friends, they chose chemical engineering, and they were struggling to provide like an answer to them, because the interview was like, oh, if you're a chemical engineer, how would you contribute to PNB? Blah blah blah. So the next slide, please. Now this is my offer letter. Dear Karuna, blah blah blah, get this on it. I was very excited because I think it was on my second day of orientation that I got a notification. Our second day of orientation from at College Marabanting, I think. It was online, and I was like on my bed, and then I got an email, and then I was screaming suddenly, blah. So yeah, okay. Now I want to share you guys a story of how I got this PMB. So basically, before scholarship, after SPM, I listed down 12 scholarships that I wanted to apply. I was only eligible for 6 because my SPM I got a B plus in my Bahasa Melayu. I was only eligible for 6 and I was straight away rejected by 4. And I got 2 offers from one is from YTP Mara and one is from PNB. My advice to you guys is never give up. Please have patience, have like courage and pray to God, like pray to God that you guys will get a scholarship. Um and be prepared lah, basically. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you. Oh yeah, last slide please. Sorry. If you guys have any questions on PMB, I know that I'm going a bit fast. Do contact me on LinkedIn or IG. I will be happy, so happy to help you guys get a scholarship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadine. Moving on, we have Nessa, one of the recipient of Yayasan UEM Scholarship.
Okay. Hi guys, am I audible? Okay. So, good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for joining today's talk. I'm Nisamani Victor. I'm going to be talking about the Yayasan UEM Scholarship. Next slide. Okay, so this is a little bit about me. I'm from Ipoh, and I got 5A plus and 6As. I took 11 subjects for my SPM. And then my field of interest is computer science. I'll be pursuing my degree for that. And some of my hobbies are just I love to read and I also like to play the piano when I'm free. Next slide. Okay, so about the Yayasan UEM scholarship, I know there's a big paragraph over there, but basically it's just so simple. Because Yayasan UEM owns College Yayasan UEM, right? So once you get the scholarship, you'll be going to do your A levels in College Yayasan UEM. After 2 years of studying there, you'll be moving on to further your studies, your undergraduate studies, either in the UK or the US. They'll give you a list and you have to apply based on that list. Lah. So that's about the Yayasan UEM scholarship. So once you actually graduate, right, you'll be working under UEM, and UEM actually owns a lot of like companies. They have a lot of subsidiaries. So you'll be working under wherever they want to put you in. You can either be working here locally or you can also be working overseas. I did ask them about this during my interview. Okay, next one. Okay. So for you to be eligible to apply for Yayasan UEM, you need to at least get 7 A's, a mixture of A plus and A's in your SPM. And you also must have like a good academic track record in your Form 4 or Form 5. During your application for Yayasan UEM scholarship, you can either put in your Form 4 year-end results or you can also put in your trial examination results. So the courses that they actually offer is business, engineering, IT or computer related, and environmental studies. And you're born for, if you get the global scholarship, you'll be working under UEM for 5 years. And if you get the local, the Vira scholarship, you'll actually be working for UEM for 3 years. The next slide. Okay. To be honest, I'm not going to be talking a lot about the application process over here because I really feel that if you just go onto the MSI website, you can actually get my story and Brian, one of the founders of MSI. We already put in our essay and everything inside there. And I wrote a very detailed process of how my application and my interview process went through. So I think if you just go on there and look up, it'll be fine. But to summarize, this is what happened. First, after you send in your online application by writing 2 essays, they'll actually like send you an email if you're actually selected to do a video. And my video is actually online. If you just look up my name, it'll be there. But if you go on to MSI website, my link for my my Vimeo video will be there. So you can actually get reference if you plan to apply for YUEM. And the next one will be an online group interview. For the online group interview, there's actually 2 sessions. First one was a one-to-one question and answer. They gave you like mine was about something to do with subsidies and fuel. And the next one was like a case study, a group lah. You have to discuss in a group and you have to come up with like the pros and cons and why is it ethical, why is it not ethical, something like that. And the final one, the physical individual interview, this is my favorite. We got to go to Mercu UEM and we were interviewed by the scholarship managers. And since my course was computer science, they actually called the managing director for UEM Agenta, one of the subsidiary groups for like technology and innovation. So honestly, for the interview, I would say the main important one was the physical, the last stage, because in that stage was the one where they actually ask you about how much do you know about UEM. So like since about for me, I'm doing computer science, I really talked about UEM Agenda. I was telling them how I'm very passionate about innovation, how I'm passionate about innovation since I was in high school because I joined a lot of innovation competitions and so on. But honestly, I really enjoyed the interview process. It was honestly like a chill talk. They just wanted to know who you are finally. Yeah. Next one, please. Okay. To summarize, after going through the interview process and everything, I finally got a call from UEM stating that I was awarded for the scholarship. And actually there was only just 4 hours. And during our awards day, they told us that out of 5,800 applicants, only like there was 4 hours who were selected. So honestly, even though the YUEM scholarship is very competitive, that doesn't mean you shouldn't try, because if you never try, you never know. So under UEM, once you get the scholarship, you actually get to do a lot of you're actually very it's a very small community, I would say, under Yayasan UEM. So we get to go for scholars development program. These are some of the pictures. We actually went to CMAX this year. We went to the Plus headquarters. And then last month, 2 months ago, we actually went for like an engagement program where we got to know the new local scholars. So we're actually a very close family. And it's a very nice time being around the UEM scholars. You get to know them very well. You get to know how these people are actually very, very unique in a sense. Next. Okay, this is some of the pictures that of me and my friends in KY. The reason I'm actually showing you these pictures are actually because I'm really encouraging you all to come to KY because it's actually a very nice place. The first picture is me and my UM scholar mates. Yeah, you can also see Brian, one of the founders of MSI. And then that's my chemistry class, my roommates. Next slide. This is some of the events that happened in KY, me and my friends. Next slide. Yeah, these are just celebration, my maths class, and that's just us with like the Indian people in KY. Next slide. Yeah. And then in KY you get to there's actually a lot of events and then there's a lot of programs. Like since I'm doing computer science, right? So they actually had like an AI hackathon and an AI boot camp. So I actually joined that with my friends. And the first picture over there was an AI hackathon, an AI boot camp. The last one was a hackathon. So when you actually come to KY, because like you're surrounded with people who want to go to like these top schools, right? So they'll organize a lot of competitions to actually help you. So coming into KY, I really got to meet a lot of creative people who can come up with like really good solutions. So joining these competitions really helped me a lot. Next. Okay, to just summarize, I didn't really go into depth in this session because I really feel if you just go on to MSI, you can get my whole interview process in very detail. My answers are everything there. But to summarize, to apply for the YUM scholarship, you need to have good grades. But it's not about getting straight A plus or straight A's. You just need to meet the minimum requirement of getting 7 A's and A plus, a mixture, and make sure that your internal exams, the Form 4 and year-end results, or the trial exams were good enough. And then for your COCO, make sure you join like competitions that are endorsed by MOE. Don't just simply join competitions for the sake of it. Make sure you join competitions that actually help you. Like for example, for me, I'm doing computer science, right? So since I was in high school, I joined a lot of innovation competitions, especially related to IoT and Arduino. And then for skill sets and communication, I'll just talk about these two together. In my opinion, what one thing I realized when I went through the interview process is that they really like to see how you can communicate well and how good are you in convincing them that you are the right scholar for them. So you need to actually practice your English. Make sure that you're very convincing when you talk to them. And whenever they throw you a question like challenging you, like oh, you have this weakness, so how is it that you can be this, like, how can you be our scholar? So like you need to have the skill to actually like be calm and just play around the question and make sure like you can answer well and convince them that, oh, you know what, I am the scholar that you need, like that. Okay, next slide. Okay, yeah. This picture is actually very fulfilling for me. My parents coming to my awards day, it was a very happy day. But I want to just share one story. Um, for academics, right? I was someone who never got an A for my maths until SPM. I always failed and I only got an E. Even for my trial examinations, I got an E. But despite that, I still managed to get the Yayasan UEM scholarship, you know. Remember I told you how UEM wants an excellent track record of academics? Like honestly, I really think why they chose me in a sense, although of course it's God's blessing that I got chosen. But one thing that I told them was I'm someone who doesn't get pushed down when things like this happen to me. Like within 1 month, I really worked hard on my admits and I managed to score the A in my SPM from an E to an A just within 1 month. So during my interview, they really questioned me about that. They questioned me about my admits a lot because I would say they were pretty impressed on how like I didn't give up. I wasn't just broken down because something like this happened to me. So yeah, this is just to encourage you all that even though that maybe you may not have gotten like good results currently in your form 4 final exams, or you're still worried about certain subjects, honestly just do your work, put in the effort, continue how you're studying and everything, and at the end of the day it will pay off. So I hope that this story actually encourages you and motivates you to apply for the scholarship. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can actually message me through Instagram. It's just my name, Nisamani Victor, and I will definitely be happy to help you. But again, I really feel the MSI website is good enough. So I think you can just log into that and you can get my interview questions, you can get my essay, my videos, and everything. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Nisa, for your sharing. Let us move on to Kavin, a current student in College Tunku Jaffa and a Bank Negara Malaysia scholar, to share his insights.
Hello, can you guys hear me? All right, so hi guys. Hopefully everyone's still awake. So my name is Kavin Rajan, and I'm a recipient of the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship. So next slide, please. So first of all, I'm going to give you like a background of myself. So unlike most people here, I actually come all the way from Penang, from SMK Bukit Jambul, and my SPM results were 8A plus and 1A. So ever since I was a kid, I was really interested in computer science, and I took that for my SPM as well. So I swapped out biology, luckily. Yeah. So my hobbies include playing the guitar and football. I know it seems like quite irrelevant now, but I'll come back to that later and tell you why it's actually quite important. Yep. Next slide. Yeah. So now I'm going to give a brief information about the Bank Negara Kijang Scholarship. So I'm not going to talk much about this because you can find out from the website itself. But just for quick overview, the minimum requirement is 8 A's. So it's a combination of A or A plus, and there's a lot of fields where you can apply to. Like there's some unexpected fields like law. So if you are studying law, just check out Bank Negara Scholarship because they also offer law scholarships as well as like the more popular ones such as economics, accounting, finance, and in my case, computer science. So next, the courses, that's pre-U courses, which is for 2 years. And the thing about Bank Negara is they let you to choose where you want to go after you get the scholarship. So they give you a list, like for example, College Tuanku Jaffa, KYUEM, and even IBs, they give you Nexus. So the reason I only put pre-U here is because once you get the scholarship, it doesn't automatically mean you get your degree as well. So you have to meet a minimum requirement for A levels, which is 3 A's. And also you have to ensure you get a placement in the top 25 unis in the respective countries. Only then you can move on to your degree and they'll offer you a degree for the scholarship. So the bond is usually 10 to 12 years. And how this works is for every year that you study under the scholarship, you have to work there for 2 years. So for example, me, I'm going to be studying 2 years at College Tuanku Jaffa, and 3 years at overseas. So that equals to 10 years bond for the bank. Next slide, please. Yeah, so first I'm going to talk about my application journey. So regardless of whether or not I got the scholarship, one thing I'd like to say, I really enjoyed this application journey so much. And this is because for the first stage, it was just a basic website where they ask you to fill up your personal information, your SPM certificate, and also for bank, they ask a 350 words essay. I'll come back to how this essay impacted my interview as well. And then the second stage was personality and IQ test. So for the personality and IQ test, right? The IQ test, it was similar for like I think Yayasan Khazanah and PNB also, if I'm not mistaken, very similar IQ tests. And these IQ tests are actually quite challenging. The first one is a verbal reasoning. So they give you like a paragraph and then you gotta answer like questions regarding the paragraph. And it requires some interpretation skills as well. So I would suggest the students to like start doing some IQ tests from now. There's many free ones online to just sharpen your skills. And beside that, also numerical reasoning. So this one is like they give you bar charts and graphs, and then you have to do some calculation, understanding what the graph is about, interpretation as well. So the next part is the personality test. So the personality test is they'll just give you a bunch of situation-based questions and just ask what you would do in these situations. So I feel like for my tip, you really got to show who you are as a person. So for example, me, I really love teamwork. So I chose that as like the main point I'm going to try to emphasize during the personality test. So for example, whenever a question comes up, an option is to work together as a team, I'm going to pick that just to show the bank that I'm consistent with who I am and not always change, because they also check that, if you just want to like be the perfect person and choose the best possible answer for each and every situation, they can see over there because they're trained to see all this. So the best tip that I would give is, really reflect on yourself and think what the best trait you have, and then try to show that through the personality test. So this third stage is the most unique one for the bank, I think, because we had a video submission. I don't think a lot of other scholarships had this kind of submission. So this one is just basically for them to get to know us before we go for the interview. So for my year, they asked to explain like a 2 to 3 minute video on what is your favorite book or movie. And now here's what I'm going to give you a good tip. Try to be stand out before you even go for the interview. So a lot of people, they want to make a good first impression when they go to the interview, right? But bank gives you an opportunity to do it before you even go to the interview itself. So for me, I talked about my favorite movie, which is Bohemian Rhapsody. And like I mentioned before, I played the guitar, right? So I just put in a 20-second video of me playing the guitar and then talking about it. So I know it sounds like unnecessary, but when I went to the interview and I met the interviewers, a few of them actually also watched this video and then they came to me and then they were like, "Oh, you're the one who played the guitar. That's quite interesting." So these kind of things are what gives them a good impression. So at least they'll remember you, which is a good thing for the future. So the last and the final stage will be the interview. So for the interview, there's two parts, which is the group and individual interview. For this interview, they actually brought us all the way to Lanai Kijang, which is like a hotel that is owned by Bank Negara. And then we stayed there for 2 days and 1 night. So yeah, that was a really surreal experience. And the first day, we had a group interview. So this group interview is separated into two parts. The first part is they asked us to a star, build a star, and then talk about it related to the bank. I think the theme was Star Wars. So for my group, we talked about the star and how it symbolizes unity. So for these group interviews, right, you have to work together as a team. And unlike in school, if they ask you to do a presentation, you get 10-15 minutes discussion and then you present. And then teacher only see the end result, which is your presentation. But for these scholarship interviews, is very much different. They like to see the process of discussion itself. And I'd argue that the process of discussion is equally as important as the presentation itself. Because the stage with your team members is when they realize who acquires these leadership skills. So one tip that I would give is try to be the one asking people questions and try to be involved in this group discussion. So for most group discussions, there's going to be a group leader. And it's best if you can try to be a group leader, but as we all know, everyone there who's going for this scholarship interview really wants a scholarship. So everyone's gonna try and go for the group leader. So one thing I would suggest is you don't have to be the group leader in order to stand out. All you have to do is, acquire a role that can help control the team. So for example, in my team, I was a timekeeper. I know it sounds like a simple job, just click start on a timer and end. But this shows that how you're actually, focused about the team, and then you really want to know how much time you have left, and you make sure the group coordinates well. So the next stage of the group interview is a case study. So this case study can be quite challenging because for us it was they give a imaginary island called Wonderland, and they gave us a bunch of uh, data such as the resources of that country and the GDP, and they also gave about like a university there, and the question was how AI in this new generation will impact the university students when they graduate. Okay, so first about this group, right? I don't know if it's intentional or not, but then they split these groups into like a fairly amount of different type of interviewees. So in my group, there was a good mix of students who wanted to do economics, accounting, computer science. And in my group, I was the only one who got computer science, and this question's about AI. So I had a good advantage because I get the chance to talk about AI. So again, do research, prepare about like if you're going to go into computer science, prepare about AI and financial technology and all that, because it's really going to help you in the interview, in especially in these case studies, when you got to relate what you're going to talk about with your course and what actions you can do to make it better. And then next is the individual stage. So for the individual stage, it's quite scary, because you go in a room and there's like four people in front of you, and then you just die like, you get nervous. But the tips that I would give you is like be confident. These four people, they actually treat you really nicely in the interview stage. You'll be quite chill. You don't have to like be super nervous and super scared. They're gonna ask you like a lot of personal questions actually. So for me, they asked me what was my biggest challenge, and if you look at before you go for the interview, you'll meet a lot of different people there, and then you realize that some of them are really highly achievable people. So some of them, I'm exaggerating now, but say example they join the Olympics, so you don't have to get nervous because they don't want to. Of course, they do mind about your achievements, but more than that, they want to see who you are and how you overcome your personal challenges. So it's best to talk in detail, even though it's a simple challenge. Like for me, it was managing stress during SPM, because I told them my problem was I like to take a lot of things into my accountability, like all the school events. I want to do this. I get really excited. So from that, I realized that, oh, I don't have time to actually manage this. So I told them the solutions. Like for example, a simple one would be, after school you come back, you're eating. What do? You doom scroll on TikTok. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you cut down on that time, at the end of the day, this accumulated time can be used to do something more productive. So that's a solution that I gave them, and they were really impressed because it was unique. And that's one thing I like to say. Please be unique with your answers. Don't just give generic answers that you can think in the first 2 seconds, right? So you got to give answers that depict who you are as a person. Another example I would give is the question they ask, what do you like most about the bank? Like throughout your interview journey, when you research, what do you like most about the bank? And obviously it was in terms of technology because I was applying for computer science. So I thought about this question previously, and the usual answer is going to be, oh, AI, financial technology, talking about the departments in bank. But if you think about it, right, everyone who's going to the interview is going to talk about the same thing. So you have to try and be unique. So what I talked about was in the website, the scholarship website, when you're applying, only bank had a word count for the essay, which is simple use of AI. So that, because I studied computer science in SPM, and then we learned about web development and user interactivity. So I was impressed by that, and I was honest. I told them that was actually what I was impressed about throughout my interview process in the bank. And they chuckled a bit, but they're also impressed because not everyone is going to notice that. And then they asked me follow up, like, did it make it easier? Then I said, yeah, it made it relatively easier because I have to copy it and paste it in another website to show me how many words. I don't have to go to Google Docs and then put it there because it's much more easier. You can keep track of the words you have. Yeah. So next slide, please. Yeah. So here's the essential tips that I will give you. The first tip is be yourself. I know you heard this like 1,000 times, but it is very important. And in brackets, I put that be honest, because when a scholarship interview is going on, these interviews are paid, like they know what they're doing. Like for example, it's like you sitting in front of them like a glass. They can see through you like very well. So in order for them to choose the best candidates, they have to make sure that you are suited for their company. So let's say you lie, and most of the times they will see through that. But let's say you lie and somehow manage to get the scholarship, right? And in short term, you're going to be thinking, oh, I got the scholarship. I'm going to I'm going to study overseas, free education. Like, you're going to be happy. But then think about this. You are going to stay with the bank, for example, for 10 years. 10 years is a long time. So if they don't think that you don't suit them, it's going to impact them and impact you as well in the future. So the best thing I'll say is be transparent, be honest with yourself. One funny thing that I heard was one of the bank scholars, like my close friend, in one of the interviews when they asked what's the biggest challenge, she talked about her breakup. Yeah. So again, disclaimer, I'm not trying to say you should talk about your breakup or something, but what I'm just trying to say is that if something which is a simple thing, but it does affect you a lot, and then you can come up with like solutions and how you actually overcome those problems, then go ahead, talk about it. Even if it's not the usual thing that people will talk about, but if it really impacted your life, then go on, because that is how they're going to see who you really are and how you can overcome these problems. Yeah. And then tip two would be about essay writing. So in essay writing, like for my essay, I didn't really like have people to talk to, because in Penang there's not many like initiatives taken. So I had to research online. And then from what I saw, the essays, you don't have to be too like bombastic with your words. You can just use simple words. And again, like I said, be consistent throughout your scholarship application. If you show them that you're this kind of person, make sure you show them that you're this kind of person throughout the whole interview. Don't like switch, oh, I like to do this, then suddenly you're like, no, I'm this kind of person. So it's going to confuse them as well. And it shows that you're just trying to do whatever it takes to get the scholarship, even if it's the wrong way. So just reflect on yourself, see who you really are, and then use that to apply for the scholarship. Even in your essays, for teamwork, I talked about how I collaborated for robotics competition, and I talked about the actions that I had to take as group leader to solve certain problems in the team, like among students, and then how even though we didn't win, managed to learn a lot of things from this robotics. And then last but not least, don't steal the stage. So think about this. If you want a scholarship, there's hundreds of people who want this scholarship just as much as you do. So apart from a humanity point of view, right? Like even if you go for the interview, interviewers will look at how you treat other members, because it's one of those leadership skills that it's really important. So as a leader, you have to make sure everyone gets equal opportunities. Don't try to be the one that overshadows other people. So for example, if you're doing an interview and you realize your teammates are not quite scared or not really talking, try to encourage them as well, because it not only will help them but also show what kind of person you really are, and then you get to impress the interviewers a bit. Yeah. So last slide. Yeah. So I'm also going to talk about life after scholarship, because I know a lot of students are like, okay, you get the scholarship, then what? Well, I'm currently studying in College Tuanku Jaffa, which is a British school, and trust me, it's a life-changing experience, because I was actually in matrix for the first 1 month, and then when I received the email, I was in the field and I was running around the field because I was so excited. But yeah, coming to KTJ at first is like a culture shock, because you meet people from all around the world and you don't really have a sense of like, where you came from. It's completely different. So it takes time to adapt. But then you realize how much opportunities you get, right? For example, if you look at the picture, I started playing rugby, which I've never done throughout my life in high school, right? So these kind of opportunities you get will improve you as a person. You also get to build connections with many people from around the world, which is a good trait, which is a good thing lah in the future. And last but not least, enjoy yourself. This also applies throughout the application process. Just enjoy the process, because for example, these interviews is a life-changing experience, regardless you get the interview or not. you're going to meet people in the interviews. Like some, even with the interviews, unfortunately, some of my group members did not get, but they ended up getting other scholarships. But I still keep in touch with one or two of them, and I still talk to them to this day. So you get to build these connections with other people during this interview process. So I suggest just enjoy the process, meet new people, and yeah, just go with the flow. Yeah, that's all for my talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Next, we have Dominic, currently studying at College Yayasan UEM and a Telekom scholar.
Um, Hello, is my voice clear?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, so next slide, please. All right, so hello everyone. My name is Dominic Benjamin. In this part of my session, I will talk about how I was able to achieve the Yayasan Telekom Malaysia scholarship and how it has changed my life now. So next slide, please. So in this session, I will highlight about how I applied for the scholarship, for the YTM scholarship. And nextly, I will talk about what documents do I need for the scholarship. Thirdly is the online English and math tests for this specific scholarship. Fourth is the essays and introduction video that you have to make and create for this scholarship. And lastly is the interviewing stage of this scholarship. And another few things that I would like to highlight on this scholarship is what type of courses they offer. And lastly is the local or abroad options for this scholarship. Next slide, please. So, so as a disclaimer, I am currently not in any way, shape, or form tied to or currently under the YTM scholarship. Instead, I am currently a scholar under the Beasiswa Cemerlang Negeri Sabah scholarship by Yayasan Sabah, and I am currently studying in College Yayasan UEM under this specific scholarship. I'm just here today to share my knowledge and experiences on being able to achieve this prestigious scholarship, and I hope everyone will enjoy my session. Thank you. So next slide, please. So firstly is how I applied for the YTM scholarship. Uh, it's really straightforward, honestly. You just go to the website and just head on to the Yayasan Telekom Malaysia Scholarship Future Leader Program section. And there you can click on the link where it will be open after your SPM results come out. So you guys are able to apply for this scholarship after you receive your results. And for the minimum requirements of SPM, for local scholarship, which is the one that I received, you have to achieve a minimum of 6 A's in your SPM, as well as being active in your core curricular or extracurricular activities. And for the abroad program, you have to achieve a minimum of 8 A pluses in SPM, as well as being active in your core curricular activities. For the documents, some of the few documents that you need for this scholarship is your personal and parents identification card, your certification SPM result slip in PDF form, and you have to get it certified by your principal at your school also. And next is your parents' monthly salary slip and also your certificates of achievements of all of the activities that you've participated in the past. Thirdly is the online tests and quizzes. So after you've submitted your application, you'll receive an email, and from that email, you will receive a link where you have to go through an online test and quizzes. So there is a set of quizzes to challenge your thinking capabilities and also your critical and analytical thinking. Uh, in my personal opinion, these quizzes were really hard, especially for the math part of the quiz, because I mean, it's not really included in the SPM syllabus that we've learned. It's just a general general set of quizzes. You don't really have to study much before these quizzes, but I think the part where I really messed up was the how the words really confused me, how the sets of questions about the mathematic quizzes confused me a lot. So I think that's what you have to really look out forward lah. And then yeah, you don't need to study for these types of these quizzes specifically, and it's all based on your logical thinking and also what you've learned before. Yeah. So next slide, please. So after you've done your online quizzes, you'll further receive an email stating where you have to make an essay and also an introduction video. So for the essay topics are generally easy to answer. So the topic that I was given, or should I say my batch was given, was talk about your family background and why do you deserve this scholarship more than others. So in this essay specifically, the talk about your family background essay, I mainly talk about how I was born into a single mother and how these types of challenges that I faced really shaped me into the person that I am today. So I talk more in depth about my own experiences throughout my childhood and also throughout my teenage years, as well as how it affected me during my SPM studies. And why do you deserve this scholarship more than others? I mainly talk about my leadership qualities and also all the activities that I've participated back when I was in high school and how it enhanced my leadership uh, qualities. So next is the way you approach these questions are simple. Just be open-minded and willing to talk about the struggles and hardships you went through, and more importantly, just yap throughout your essay lah. Next is the introduction video. So the thing about YTM is I think for all of their scholars, they require you to film an introduction video of yourself. So I filmed an introduction video of myself in my own native language, which is the Kadazan Dusun language. And fun fact about me, I am a Kadazan myself, an indigenous ethnicity in Sabah. So uh, I showed the verity in me to be able to stand out more amongst other applicants. So if you're from Borneo, especially, you can show off your native language or even make yourself more stand out than other applicants by stating your hardships or even your challenges that you have to go through by being an indigenous ethnicity lah. I'm not saying that other people are. I'm not. This is not really. Uh, yeah. It's not directed to anyone specifically, lah, but it's just a tip from myself. So I even talked about my SPM journey in my introduction video. And yeah, that's about it for this slide. Next. So for the interviewing stage, this is the last stage before you will get an email to know that you received the offer. So the interviewing stage is a really crucial assessment, I think, for every single scholarship. And you will be interviewed by the executives from Telekom Malaysia themselves. And I think you don't really have to worry about any type of scholarship specifically because it's mainly a chill and laid back interview where all the interviewers want to get to know you better and why you want to pursue your courses that you chose. So, in my specific interview, I was interviewed by two different executives, and it was a one-on-one interview. So the interviewers would like to ask you some general questions. So obviously, why did you apply for this scholarship, and also what leadership roles that have you done in the past? What have you learned from your experiences on being a leader? So I would like to highlight on the second questions because I think that really resonated me a lot during my interviewing stage. So in my school, I was elected as the vice head prefect of my prefectorial body. And throughout my experiences as the prefect, the vice head prefect, I was able to conduct many, um, I was able to organize many types of events in my school, such as motivational talks or even festivals. And also, I was able to instill discipline and how that has affected me in my life. Being a vice head prefect really has made my life more disciplined and made me more aware of how other people would look up to me. So I think that really matters to me a lot, and it really affected me on how I did well on my SPM journey. And yeah, I think that was the experiences that I learned, as well as I've also led a group uh, of students to go have a Toyota Eco Youth competition at Kuala Lumpur. So that was actually my first time going to Semenanjung, Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. So it was really such a culture shock to me how the city life in Kuala Lumpur is really different from where I was back in Sabah, and how I was really culture shocked in general lah, and how I really emphasized on how I was able to lead a team on in Kuala Lumpur, where only my teacher advisor was our guardian, and how uh, it really affected me as a person lah. And fortunately, we were uh, given the top 15 title for the competition, so I think that really matters to me a lot lah. And so some of the tips from me for interviewing stages, and this applies to any interviewing stages that you will go through lah, because I went for 4 interview stages from 4 different scholarship bodies, and all of them I got accepted, fortunately. And so these are the tips from me, is to not be afraid or shy to mention about or talk about your background, as this may help you become more relatable towards the interviewers themselves. Although do not make it overly negative or overly positive, as this would affect the interviewer's perspective of your life in general. And then secondly is to always smile. No matter what the topic you are talking about, be sure to smile or add any expressions where necessary. And lastly is to have an open mind when answering questions. Be sure to approach your questions in a more structured and critical thinking way, and answer your questions with more maturity in order for the interviewers to know that you are capable of thinking or of solving really hard real world solution problems. So yeah, that's all for this slide. Next. And lastly, I would like to emphasize about the courses offered by Yayasan Telekom Malaysia. So the courses are divided into 3 major segments, which are the uh, IT, computer science, data security, and VR courses, as well as the accounting and management sector, which includes the finance, accountings, economics, and also marketing degrees. And lastly is the engineering course, which I've personally applied for. I applied for the telecommunication engineering specifically. So yeah, these are the courses offered by YTM Scholarship. And as for local or abroad, uh, YTM offers both local and abroad scholarship. So for the local scholarship, the one that I've gotten is I have to go through, I have to go do my foundation studies at MMU University, which is Multimedia University. Uh, university owned by YTM themselves. And then the other local universities that I would like to note about is the UM, where you can further your studies is at UM, University Malaya, University Putra Malaya, USM, University Science Malaya, UKM, and also UITM. And also for abroad studies, you have to go do your A levels at College Yayasan UEM before you have to pursue your degrees abroad, which mainly are in the top universities in United States, UK, the France, Germany, Korea, Japan, or even Australia. So on the bottom right there, you could see my tawaran beasiswa YTM. So yeah, you would get your offer letter through email, and they would email you personally on your scholarship lah, and the terms and condition as well as the allowances that you will be given from the scholarship. Yes. So next slide, please. I think it's the final slide. Yeah. So these are just compilation of me of here in College Yayasan UEM. These are all my friends, and yeah, that's all from me. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you to Dominic. Finally, allow me to welcome our last speaker, Jordan, a recipient of Yayasan Khazanah Scholarship, and he will elaborate more on his scholarship.
Okay, hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'll be sharing my insight here. Okay. Okay, I hope you guys can see my slides. So it may sound a bit echoey from here because I'm not in KYUEM. I'm currently in KTJ for some engineering thing. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Well, thank you for MSI giving us speakers the opportunity to share our knowledge with you guys. The 07 maybe or 07 maybe a 08. But if you're here, that's the first right step towards getting that scholarship. So I will start now. So hi, my name is Jordan Lee and I'm receiver of a Yayasan Khazanah scholarship. So in Yayasan Khazanah, there's actually two scholarships. One is the global scholarship, which I'm a recipient of, and one is Khazanah Watan. I'll show you in this slide. Okay, I'll go back later. Okay, so in Khazanah scholarship, roughly there are 5 stages to it. And for the Watan candidates, you will be successful in the 4th stage. Generally, in the 3rd stage, everyone will be like compiled in a big pool of successful candidates. And then during the 4th stage, you'll be separated into your Watan scholars and your global scholars. And you only will be interviewed together with your global people and your Watan people. Okay, I'm going back to my previous slides. Okay, a little bit about me. My name is Jordan Lee, and okay, in the bottom left corner here, we have me in costume night with my friends with the Spider-Man suit. And supposedly someone asked me to wear a Spider-Man suit today, but it's fine. And next, I'm currently studying in College Yayasan UEM, and my high school is SMJK Catholic PJ. I scored my SPM and IGCSEs. I took 2 simultaneously. I scored straight A's in SPM and also straight A's in IGCSE. Okay, let's the power of manifestation. I think maybe Rishika mentioned just now, but I believe this is really true. So this will be your certificate of award for your Khazanah scholarship, and you guys should manifest it. Like if you joined the talk yesterday, Rishika said something about vision board. I also had a vision board, but I didn't draw it out. It was always in my brain. So my vision board was my vision, and just work towards it and apply to as many as possible because you never know you're getting it. A bit backstory about myself. Before coming to college as an UEM, I was actually just a metric student. So I got accepted into matriculasi. I went there for 1 month expecting myself to do PSPM, finish everything, and just go to UM and maybe pursue postgraduate overseas. But then, thank God that I got the scholarship and I'm able to pursue undergraduate degree in a university of my choice. Yeah, so you never know because I didn't know I was going into this path as well. So that's the encouragement I can give you, and just do your best. General requirements for Yayasan Khazanah scholarship is you need a combination of 8 A's, A and A pluses. So the A mines, I think A mine should be fine as well. But then at least the A's. But the most important thing is for BM, English, History, and Mathematics, it must be A and A pluses. So let's say, right, if you insert, like in your portal link, if you insert your results and you put BM as A minus or English as A minus, you literally can't press next. The system literally can't allow you to press next. And that's why I think I was also lucky in this stage in the case where my BM is actually A minus, but then I had my IGCSE results. So I inserted my IGCSE results as my main result and I put my SPM result on the bottom. They allow you to add your trials, your Form 4 results, because I know some of you do very good from Form 3 onwards, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. You guys have fantastic results. You can add that in the bottom to show that. Or maybe you took some courses. I think you also can add that in the bottom. So as my main one, I put my IGCSE results, which would allow me to press next. And for the bottom one, I put my SPM results to just show that, oh, I took SPM as well. And not exceeding 18 years of age, to ensure everyone is eligible for that. Possess strong leadership skills and active participation in extracurricular, social, or voluntary activities. I'll share on that later. Okay, next slide. For Yayasan Global, the approved universities is actually a lot. So in our scholarship statement, we need a A-level result of only 3 A's to maintain. So let's say at the end of A levels, you get 3 B's, then bye-bye to your scholarship. But I know you all are smart. So 3 A's, it's really doable. And using these 3 A's, you will apply to all the scholarships, not all scholarships, you apply to all the universities that there is in US, in UK, in Canada if you want. And Australia generally is a backup. It's a backup if you can't get into any of the UK and US universities, considering you still have your 3 A's as your A level, because they want to make sure you have the 3 A's first. Then only they allow you to apply and continue your journey as a student. And you also can apply to Singapore, no problem with that. But generally, it's too close to home. So, And next, for the Watan scholars, you can apply to a list of local universities and also a list of some local private universities like MMU. I'm not sure if MMU is private, but these are the local universities you can apply to. I know that for JPA LSPM, like the local JPA one, you can apply to literally any local university, private like Monash. You can do medicine in Monash, medicine in MMU if you want. But for Khazanah Watan scholars, I don't think we have medicine. So the few courses that we don't have are medicine, especially like medical field. So medicine, dentistry, like surgeon, or specialist like doctor. Pharmacy still can. You still can apply if you want to be interested in pharmacy. And the second one is architecture. You can't apply if you're interested in architecture. And the third one is petroleum engineering. So these three are the only three courses that Khazanah don't allow you to apply to. Other than that, there's so many choices. Like for example, I'm a civil engineer, right? I can't apply civil engineering in anywhere else, not in Bank Negara, not in Petronas. I only can apply it in Khazanah, in Yayasan UEM, and also in Shell. So yeah, it's quite a rare course.
Next. Yeah, dream big and manifest. So if you're like your dream school or your dream city, maybe you want to migrate there, London, Melbourne, New York. Dream big, manifest, and then work towards your goal. That's it. Okay, coming into the application process of our Yayasan Khazanah. So in my experience, I remember researching all the scholarship that I could apply before scholarship stuff opened. I think I did it even before SPM started. So I like list down all the scholarships that we want to apply, and then I roughly list down the deadlines according to last year's deadline, right? So for Yayasan Khazanah, the deadline is usually 2 weeks after SPM result day. And you need to know that you need to put a 1,000 word essay. So generally give yourself the preparation, like you can prepare your documents. You can prepare your documents like way before because it's kind of it's a lot of work. You need to go back to your book school, get everything certified. You need to bring the real copy. Like let's say you need to certify a birth cert, you need to bring a real birth cert. They need to see it, they need to capture everything. And it's a lot of work. So prepare early so that during application process for scholarships, you have the free time to just generally sort everything out. So everything is there. Okay, so this is just statistics on last year. This is not my cycle. This is last year's. My cycle is not it's not out yet. So we can see stage 1 is verbal and numerical ability test. This is after you pass the first initial application stage, which is stage 0. Stage 0 only requires this is stage 0. Stage 0 requires a few stuff. First is your results, your parents documents and stuff, and your essay, and also your extracurriculars. So these four things is for stage 1. For extracurriculars, generally, because I'm sure that all of you SPM students have like a every Form 5 need to do a summary of the 10 best extracurricular activities they have done throughout your high school. You can use that as your certificates, and then you can add in some more if you got even more. For me personally, I did a lot of club stuff, but other than that, I didn't really do a lot volunteering outside, or I didn't even do a lot like engineering related stuff. Basically none. I'm not even in the robotics team. I basically did zero engineering stuff during my high school time. But for Khazanah, I think I believe they see more on personality rather than like how much you have actually done compared to like Shell. Because for Shell, if you want to apply to the course, most of them has really like done quite a lot of things in their specific stuff. Uh, for Khazanah, I think the main part of Khazanah is stage 2, where I believe a lot of people get eliminated. This stage 2 and stage 1. So I'll give you guys some tips and tricks on how to pass your stage 2 and stage 1. So firstly, stage 0 first. Your reflective essay. So this is the essay that we got. This is the full prompt of my scholarship essay. Company XYZ means Khazanah National Berhad is looking for talented Malaysians with strong leadership potential, excellent academic achievement, active participation in extracurricular activities, social or voluntary. So the 4 prompts: tell us something about yourself and your experiences that is especially important or meaningful to you. So personally, I wrote something a little bit more personal that uh that gave me a vision, and it allowed me to learn something from it. Don't be scared to be a little bit personal. Like as what Dominic said, the admission officer can relate to you even more if they understand your situation. And you need to understand all the keywords. You need to use all the keywords. Strong leadership potential. How are you going to show you have strong leadership potential in your essay alongside excellent academic achievement? And how are you going to show you participate actively in extracurricular activities? So tell something about yourself and major challenges. So you can actually put these two together under my recommended essay guide lah, challenge choice outcome. So in challenge choice outcome, you can put these two together. You find a challenge throughout high school or throughout your childhood even, that you find that without this challenge, without going through this challenge, it doesn't shape you. Like let's say the challenge is you are afraid of heights, something like that. And then your choice is you decided to go to that amusement park ride, the one you've been dreading for. It's like, oh, I don't want to do this. Just one day you decided to do it. And outcome is positive outcome. It must be a positive outcome because we don't want our application to seem negative. And the outcome will be, oh, you got over the fear of heights, or at least you managed to learn a little bit more about yourself. You a little bit change, right? So, and the next one is how have you contributed to your community using clear examples? For me personally, as I said just now, I didn't really do much community events and like services during my years in high school. But after SPM, I did some voluntary work under time. So I worked for animal shelter for like 2 weeks, and I wrote that I help animal shelter, advocate for animal rights. You can exaggerate a little bit, yeah, but generally they would ask you about your things in your essay, so don't fake anything because they would know immediately. Like imagine admission officer having to read 3,000 essays every single year. They would definitely know if you're faking it or if you're like you know what are you talking about, right? And explain how your education will play a role in your career and overall goals after graduation. They want Khazanah scholar to be clear on their future goals. Like let's say I'm in civil engineering. In the future, I want to be a developer, or maybe like a structural engineer. But you try to make it clear inside, and throughout your interview process, you also need to be consistent with what you wrote, because every single stage they would review your whole application again, and say they will read the essays again and roughly like look through your curriculums, and then they only will interview you. Right. Yeah, so you need to think about the personal experience that challenged you. If you joined yesterday's talk, we talked about how you list down activities in the spreadsheet. So you look through that spreadsheet and think of anything that like spark your interest, or maybe like, oh, I can write about this. Or let's say you need to find a moral story and you need to work on the moral story. So the thing that changed you, the thing that you learn from it, you use this as a learning process. You use what you learn in the next journey of your life. I think it's easy if I give my own example. Okay, so in my essay, I wrote that in my primary school, I was a good student, blah, blah, blah. And I got offered a scholarship interview in my primary school's year. So I went to the interview because I passed all the stages internally. Went to the interview, and in front of the interviewer, I suddenly got scared. I didn't want to go to Singapore directly after secondary school. So I rejected the scholarship, right? And once I rejected the scholarship, my parents were very angry, just scold me, blah, blah, blah. Then I reflected on that and I said, hey, I was too selfish actually. I was too selfish. I shouldn't have rejected the ASEAN scholarship, because of what I want. I should think of my parents. So I wrote that the lesson I learned is that I should not let opportunities just flow by like that. And then the next opportunity I said is after SPM. So I said, that's why in this, when I'm writing this, I'm applying to your scholarship because that is the journey I want to go through. I want to face this interview. If I don't get it, I don't get it. I don't want to let any opportunity go by me. And to be honest, it's free, guys. Like the all the application for Malaysian scholarships is free. So just don't be scared to apply. 1,000 word essay, just take 1 week to do it. Even your shell, you need your video interview, just take 1 week to do it. You have so many months, so many time to do it now. And scholarships really change you guys. Okay. Then as my last, how will you use this lesson learned in the future? As I said just now. And then community, I talk about animal shelter. You can talk about maybe you did recycling, you went to an old folks home, something like that, something small, but it can be significant. For stage one, okay, going back here, stage one is your verbal and numerical ability test. So in stage one, generally, after the exam, I went to online and scoured the internet to find like why do they ask these kind of weird questions. Currently, is basically absurd thinking skills assessment. I'll find it out later words. In mathematics, you get 20 questions, 25 minutes. English, you get sorry, typo. It's about 32 questions in 25 minutes. So in English, they'll give you a long paragraph, maybe even longer than this, and it's about 3 questions per paragraph, 3 to like 4 questions per paragraph. And then they will ask like weird questions like, what is the wrong summary for this paragraph, or what is the main thing you learn in this paragraph, or maybe it's a specified thing inside, or let's say the paragraph is talking about AI, and they would ask you, how does AI change the future? And all the answers are very similar, but you just need to read fast enough and try to understand. And if you scared you're gonna panic, that's why you do past papers. I'm sure there are plenty TSA past papers out there because it's also an entrance test exam. And for the math part, it's not really at math. It's not like calculate the radius of this and that. If they give you graph, they give you tables, and then they want you to analyze. They analyze, maybe they say, oh, which year has the most people, and then there's like a bunch of data, and you like just feel so blank. But then I think to pass the stage one, firstly, you at least try to do the questions you can. Not much time. So once you reach a question that you don't know how to do, or you think that even if you tembak this one, it's not like a solid tembak, it's not like a 50-50 tembak, just skip and go to the next one first. You make sure you finish everything first, and then when you tembak more smart. Like, if this is out, definitely out, then just don't put the answer. In my case, for mathematics, I panicked quite a bit. So for the first 3 questions, 20 questions, right? For the first 3 questions, I took 10 minutes already. So I had like 17 questions in 15 minutes left. So for behind, right, I came up quite a lot, but I generally try to finish everything. So you roughly understand the whole thing, and then only you so-called tembak lah. And for English, luckily I had a time, I settled down a bit, not so panicked. And I read everything, and I think the English part helped me. But if you're not that good in English, you need to focus on the math first, because you do your math exam first before your English test, right? Okay, you guys can ask me a question later, but I'm going to next. For stage 2, stage 2 is going to be a personality and moral reasoning test. So after stage 1, they'll send you a link that you can answer this personality test. It's about a 1-hour test with 3 different tests. There's 3 different tests totaling 1 hour. And generally, it's very weird. It's like, oh, which personality suits you more? Are you organized or are you hardworking? Then you'll be like, both of them is positive, right? So do they just want me to pick the positive answer? But actually not true. So in another, like, I guess, counseling test I did, I checked my friend's score, and I got this information from my friend, by the way. He checked his friend's score, and he said, oh, the consistency is like 0. It means like every time he sees something more positive, so-called positive, he'll pick that. So I guess in tips for stage 2 is to be consistent in your answer. Because maybe let's say you press organize the first time for the first question. In the 4th question, organize and punctual will come out. And then you say, I think I like punctual as well. Then you pick punctual. And in the 10th question, they'll come out again. Organize or let's say responsible. Then you pick responsible. Then it's like, oh, your answers are just everywhere. So they can't see this person. They don't understand this person well enough. If let's say you always pick organize, and maybe punctual comes out somewhere, and you always pick punctual, they know, oh, this person is organized and punctual, rather than another person who's everything. Oh wow, this person everything. This person is organized, this person is punctual, it's hardly no. They want you to be consistent. So if you see the same thing, you pick the same thing for stage 2. And don't overthink it, because there is also a time limit. And I generally think you can't prepare for this. Just a small tip is be consistent and don't overthink it. Just pick the answer that just comes up in your mind when you see the question. Okay, next. For stage 3, 4, and 5 is interview stage. So after stage 2, you'll be given another email you'll be given another email inviting you to stage 3. And stage 3 is generally a physical interview. And in your email, actually, when they give you, you need to reply to the email to accept the interview. I forgot to accept, but then they called me. So luckily, I accept when they called me. I was like, oh yeah, I want to go on. Plus, never mind. For 3 and 4 and 5, it's an interview in person or online. In my year, personally, stage 3, everyone is in person. Stage 4, everyone is online. And for stage 5, half of us were in person and half of us were online because of some issues with the management, right? So the tips that you can prepare for all your interviews, not just Khazanah interview, you can prepare for all your interview. So firstly is the tell me about yourself prompt. This interview prompt will come out every single time you get into interview. That's the first question they will ask you, generally. And second, you also can prepare your pros and cons list. Roughly write it out somewhere in a document somewhere. So when you want to answer it, you roughly remember, oh, I wrote something about me being responsible. So how would I structure my answer with it? And you already wrote your examples when you prepare. So, oh, okay, that is not that hard. So you won't stutter so much when you talk. They want someone who has confidence in speaking. And if you prepare good enough, generally you'll be more confident when you present. And some background information about yourself as well, linking back to tell me about yourself. So in Khazanah specifically, I would separate the 3 interviews into 3 different ways and questions they ask. For stage 3 means the first interview stage. They would ask only about past experiences. They didn't really ask oh, what do you want to do with your future career as a civil engineer? They never ask all these questions. They only ask about my past experiences. Oh, how did you deal conflict with a teacher? Then I talk about my club teacher didn't agree with us marching after COVID. Then we had a schedule thing, and then I just came up with a solution. And then they asked, in the past, how did you deal when you need? What is your major challenges that you had to overcome? And I talk about COVID and how we practice music, because my club is music, right? How we practice music during COVID to maintain the skills and the strength of the members, right? So I just talk about that. And okay, and all of this, right, you can prepare beforehand, guys. So going back, we do a spreadsheet on all the activities you've done. Let's say you are a prefect and you think, oh, prefect, I just do what I do daily. I just duty here, duty there. That's an activity. So what are the challenges when you duty here? Maybe you say, oh, when you duty at gate A, for example, it's very hot. So what can you do? So every time you go gate A, maybe you put a box of umbrellas here. So any prefect who duties at gate A can use that umbrella. That's a good thing as well. Something like that. Anything, to be honest. You write down your past experiences and your future plans. You can prepare all this beforehand. You don't need to prepare on the spot. Right. Stage 3, besides the interview session, the interview session is going to be 1-on-2. So me and 2 people. And the 2 people there is going to be, I think, management. One person will be asking the questions and reviewing my application. The other person will be just typing everything down. And the other stage 3, because stage 3 is a whole day interview, that's the half of it. And the other half is actually a group case study. I think you guys heard from Petronas just now about their group case study. Ours is quite similar, but I think it's a little bit more difficult. So in my year, our group case study is they give everyone 2 resumes. So you got 2 resumes and you need to review all the resumes in 20 minutes. And they give you a file like that to say, oh, in this resume, you'll find maybe CEOs, you'll find CFOs, And in this file, they will say, I want a CEO who is at least 5 year experience in theme park business, because we were Legoland CEOs. And for CFO, they say, oh, at least 10 years experience in the banking industry, or at least 5 years in consulting, something like that. So we had to like review this big file of information and also our two CVs in 20 minutes only. And you were given a paper and a pencil, and you just write everything down. So when writing everything down, I generally encourage you guys to do like a mind map. So let's say I want to talk about this person that I want to hire. So this Roslan or maybe Ahmad. So Ahmad, I want to hire Ahmad because he has that 10 years in banking industry. He has that 5 years in consulting. Then I would draw this bubble, Ahmad, 10 years in banking industry, 5 years in consulting. And then I would generally put like points underneath this 10 years in banking industry according to his CV. So I can explain it to my team of 6. We have 6 people there. And then after, in the general trend of our interview was you had 2 CVs, right? So we would introduce both these people. Generally, and then you pick one that you want to hire. So I introduced Ahmad and Roslan. I introduced both of them, and I said I want to pick Ahmad because I think he'll be a great addition to our team of CEOs. I explained he's such a great CFO. He has 10 years here, he has 5 years there. He has his chartered accountant, blah blah blah. Then you get 3 minutes to present, right? So after your 6 members have presented all their members that they want to hire, then you have the 30-minute session to discuss on the whiteboard of a few people that you want to hire using a limited budget. So while discussing these people, I find it very useful if you speak up your voice. Don't just talk to your teammates here like, oh, I think this one better because blah blah. The interviewer will sit at the other side of the room. So the room is huge, it's a hotel room, like a hotel, like not eating room, yeah, like those halls, quite a big hall. You're at one end talking with your friends on the whiteboard, and the interviewer is sitting on the other end. So I give a tip. Another tip is speak loudly when you want to present your tips. Let's say I really want to push for Ahmad as a CFO. So I speak loudly. I say, I understand your person has maybe is loyal to his company, but then Ahmad has been joining all these different banking industries. He would understand more in like a general field, and present your points loudly so that the interviewer can listen. And afterwards they would ask if does anybody want to give feedback after the presentation. Then generally I would encourage you guys to maybe not be the first one because you don't want to look too overconfident. If let's say no one takes up the feedback, then be sure to be initiative. But let's say if some other person straight up raise some hands, yeah, I want to give a feedback on our session today, be the second person. Don't be the last person. It doesn't look nice. And like after all this presentation, then it's finished. That's your group case study. So stage 3, 2-stage, personal interview and group case study. Group case study, your tips is speak loudly. And when you summarize all your data, draw a bubble map to make it easier for you to present as well. And then remember to give feedback. For Khazanah, they will ask for feedback. I think it's only for Khazanah, they will ask for feedback on your session. Then you'll say, oh, I believe this session is very useful because it gives us true understanding of what our employers face when they want to hire us. Something like that. Okay, and then after stage 3 is done, you will receive another email for stage 4. And for the Watan scholars, like let's say if you apply Watan only, there's actually 2 links, don't apply wrong. For the Watan scholars, this would be your last stage. So if you pass stage 4, you get the scholarship. For your global scholars, this would be your second last stage, right? For stage 4, they will ask more about your future. They won't ask about your past experiences anymore because they already know that from your stage 3, right? They want to know your future plans. And generally, it's a great idea to do some company research and link it to your course. So let's say I'm engineering, especially civil engineering, and I talk something about how I want to implement civil engineering and sustainability, because the more we build, the more we pollute, but then I want to implement sustainability. So the more we build, I can reduce the pollution as well. Something about this. So the Khazanah subsidiaries that can help me is first UEM Builders, which is the construction one, and UEM Agenda, which is the green asset management. So I said this in my interview. He say, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? I say, after 4 years graduation, I want to work in Khazanah, because scholars, you need to pay back your bond, you need to work in Khazanah. But specifically, I want to work in UEM Builders. I want to learn, I want to implement all my knowledge into Malaysia infrastructure. And then afterwards, I want to work in UEM Agenda, because I believe their mission, and I said their mission already because I did some company research, their mission of sustainability, blah, 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 because I believe this is the future, something like that. So stage 4, future plans. And generally, if you do some company research, it's a good thing, because they can see, oh, you took the initiative, you're passionate about our company, you want to work with us. So they want you. If you're not passionate and you don't know anything about Khazanah, they're like, I think the other guy's better, right? And then future plans after graduation, serious attendance, I covered that just now also. And I also got a question asking, why do you deserve this scholarship? And firstly, you shouldn't make this into a pity story, because they want to know about you. Why do you deserve, not why does your family deserve? Of course, I started off saying oh, I'm not that well off. If I have the scholarship, it's definitely a good financial. I can let all this financial burden from my parents. I just stopped there already. I didn't even continue explaining oh my who all the problems I face. They generally don't want to stop story, I think, because it's very negative. It feels very negative. Then after that, I just list my pros and cons. My pros, because I prepared my pros list. So I list it out. I think I'm disciplined, because I can study well and I can manage my extracurricular well. And that question came to me very easily, because I already prepared beforehand. That's why some questions you can prepare, you must prepare all of this before your interview, right? And after stage 4, if you are Watan scholars, congrats. You will get your scholarship, and they will notify you about 1 week after the stage 5 people are finished. So I got a friend who got the Watan scholarship. After his stage 4, he kept on texting me, when is your stage 5? When is your stage 5? Because he's waiting for his scholarship email. So I say, oh, it's in 2 days. Yep. Just a little bit more. Okay, so in stage 5, the next stage is generally you're left with a group of maybe 50 people. And supposedly to be physical, but in my year, my group did it online because the management was not free that day. And they would see your essay again. And the first thing that they say was, we already know all of you here attending stage 5 interview is qualified enough to come here. So we don't want you to list any academic stuff already. We want to get to know you as a person, to see how well your personality fits with our company. Something like that. So in stage 5, be yourself, show your personality and your passion towards your cause. Because if you are enthusiastic enough, they can see, oh wow, this person is really eager to learn. I want that in my company. And stage 5, sometimes they would ask you current news in your course, and how to solve local global issues. I got this prompt from a senior, and I researched, in my case, for civil engineering, I researched the Johor Forest City, and I researched why it's such a failure. But then ended up, it didn't really come out in my interview. So just be safe, just prepare everything to be safe. And if you're not sure, let's say you reach stage 3, if you're not sure, just come and find us. You can find us in the Malaysian Student Initiative website. And if you want to read more about my experience and all of the details I'm saying right now, you can read my essays and my answer sheet in the MSI website as well. Okay, so summary. Find out more about yourself, personal goals and targets. And to summarize the Khazanah scholarship stages, stage 0, write essay following your CCO and prepare all your documents. For stage 1, time management, must finish all questions and don't mark too much. Stage 2, be consistent in your answers. Okay, at interview stages, prepare your answers before interview, like the general stuff you can prepare. And try to communicate fluently. Practice your English as well. Practice it with your parents, with your friends. So they want to see a confident person. Stage 3 is past experiences and some pros and cons question. Stage 4, company research and future plans. After they ask past experience in stage 3, they ask future plans in stage 4. And stage 5 is they ask your personality and maybe they'll touch about some global issues, or issue that you can fix. Okay, I think that's it. That's all. And I think you guys can have a screenshot of this because this is you can include this in your essays. This one is the presentation they give us scholars after we got our scholarship, like why did we choose you? And what can I do now to prepare? Create spreadsheet, list your past activities, learn more about yourself, explore different fields and courses, find true passion. We presented this yesterday already, and have fun researching about universities, scholarships, companies, and courses. At the end of the day, even if you don't get scholarship or something, you learn something new. And let's say you don't get the scholarship now, you work hard in your pre-U, you'll get another scholarship later, hopefully, in your postgraduate or in your undergraduate, because there are plenty scholarship out there. Now it's just post SPM stage. After A levels, you still have your Maybank scholarship, Simon Darby. After undergraduate, after finish your uni, you still have your Khazanah, like postgraduate scholarship. Okay, thank you. That's all.
A big thank you to Jordan. There will be a summary of the scholarships discussed by our speakers. There will be around 4 slides, and we will only leave 15 seconds for each slide for you to screenshot. Can I have the slides? While waiting for the technical team to show the slides, I would like to announce that there will be a Q&A session, but since we are way past our supposed time, our Q&A session will be pushed back after the photography session. All right. We will start with the photography session first. That being said, everyone present in the call is highly encouraged to open your cameras for us to take the photo. Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right. We're done with the photography session. Can we show the slides now? Okay. Next slide. So for anyone, be sure to actually screenshot these slides. Next slide. Into our last slide. Okay, so our program today has ended. So if you guys don't have any questions to ask, you guys are free to leave the call. But for those who are interested to join the Q&A session, do stay back. So with that, I would like to invite our moderator, Kaisa, to carry on with our program.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So thank you for Kiki, and I don't want to waste any more time. So let's straight away address the questions. First of all, I'll read out the questions to specific scholars, and then we'll move on to the more general questions. Okay, so for the first question, it's to Shell scholars. Do you feel nervous when you go to the final stage since you are faced with a board of trustees alone? So maybe Rishika could answer this question.
All right, sure. So I guess, yes, it's normal to feel nervous because you're like against the biggest people in a big company. But trust me, they are really reassuring because one of the Shell graduate recruiter, before the interview, she actually asked me, checked in with me. She was like, "How are you feeling right now?" And I was like, I'm a little bit nervous. So it's okay to be honest, and just say if you're nervous because after all, we're all humans, right? We have emotions and we really want this scholarship. So it's normal to feel nervous. But the thing is, I feel like my interview with the Shell's Board of Trustees, it was more of a chill chat than a formal interview. Because I also went for the JPA interview, and that was a little bit more intimidating because it was very formal. But as opposed to this one, it was more of like me chatting with my friends and sharing my experience. Think about privilege for you to even come to this last stage of the application. So be grateful for that and make the most out of that opportunity because it's a chance for you to share your story to very inspiring people and your passion rather than just a test of how good you are. So I guess just be honest if you're feeling nervous, but trust me, once you say your first sentence, everything will just go away. Like, yeah, it's very chill. Um, enjoy your interview. Rest well the night before and prepare well. That's my tip. Right.
Okay, so I actually see a follow-up Shell question. What should I do if I accidentally miss a phone call? Do you have any answer for that?
Actually, one of my friends, she was actually at the mama stall when she received the phone call, and she asked them to reschedule the phone call. So they're quite lenient in that aspect. Even if you miss the phone call, I think it's totally fine. They'll reach out to you again. Yeah, it's not really a big problem. Don't worry about it.
All right, thank you so much, Rishi. So for our next specific question is maybe for Alicia. So for YTP Mara, can you answer in English when the interviewer asks in BM?
Right. So for last year during my interview, I mentioned before there will be two sessions. So for the first session, the question were asked in Malay. So I answered in English. I'm so sorry. So for the first session, I answered all in English. While the for the second session, the question were asked in Malay. That's why I answered in Malay. But don't worry because the interview wouldn't be that strict. So if you think that you are more comfortable answering it in English, go ahead. Don't worry.
Okay, so there's actually another Mara question. Wait, they're moving around. Okay, I think it's is there any question to whether you choose a specific country over a different country? Oh, that's GPA Mera. I think it's for Amir. So, is there any question asked by the interviewers whereby the question of our country choice is Japan and why not Germany?
Yeah, actually, I was asked why I chose to study science and technology in Japan, whereas there are other countries to choose from. So, yes, those types of questions are present.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Amir. So, the next specific question is for Petronas and Shell and other scholarships. Do they remove the scholarship if someone doesn't maintain excellent grades for their degree? Maybe one of the scholars.
So I'll be answering on behalf of Petronas. If you, let's say, you didn't manage to maintain the grades that are required during pre-university, I don't think it matters. And the only things that matter is your AS or A level results. So if you didn't meet the requirement of 3A, which is set by Petronas for their scholars to fly abroad, then you will have another, I think you will have to continue pursuing your studies in the local universities unless you appeal for to fly to the abroad. But this is the circumstances is for those who are or who already got accepted into the specific university. So yeah, hope that answers the question.
On top of that, I would like to add the fact that when you actually already achieve your required AS and A level results for Petronas scholars, during your undergraduate, let's say your SEM 1, you didn't do as good, you didn't achieve the minimum GPA of, if I'm not mistaken, it's 3, GPA 3.0, your scholarship can be revoked essentially. So you need to come back to Malaysia even though you haven't finished your studies.
All right. Is there any from other scholars about question?
Yeah, I would like to add that. So for bank, right, if you apply to US and let's say you get into US, so US works slightly differently from the UK. US, the first year is really important. So let's say you did well for your A levels and you meet the minimum requirement, and then you get accepted to US uni for let's say the course, economics, for example. And then in the first year in US, it's a more broad spectrum. So you try out a lot of different fields in economics. And then in second year is when you major. So the thing is, for bank especially, they just explained it to us last week. So if let's say you're studying for economics, the course offered to you is economics, but then if you don't meet grade requirements for the first year, they not necessarily will remove you from the university, but they might offer you another course. For example, PPE, which is more related to politics. So in that case, the bank said they will review the course and then see if it relates with the syllabus relates with your scholarship. And because PPE is more towards politics, so although you can progress in second year under a slightly different course, but because it does not relate with the course they're gonna need when you work for the bank, they can consider that as a breach of contract and they can revoke you from the scholarship. So for US, I would recommend you to do well for the first year because that it's very important if you want to progress to the second year. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think generally most scholarships are the same, like even for PMB myself. You gotta check with the person in charge regarding the removal of your scholarships. Yeah, but there's always appeals, so you can try make an appeal. Okay, for the next question, for Yayasan Khazanah, is the reflective essay according to the prompt given in the website during applying, or like our choice for what kind of topics we want to write? Maybe Jordan? Oh, okay. So Jordan already left. Does anyone else want to take this question? Okay, so regarding essays, I think I can answer this on Jordan's behalf because PMB also has essays. Yes, you would be asked to answer the question based on the prompt you're applying. Yeah, so just answer all the questions, it should be fine. Okay, I think that's it for the specific questions. Let's move on to the general questions. There are a lot of questions on cognitive assessment and IQ tests. So, do you guys have any recommendation or websites where you can do cognitive assessment practices and IQ test practices? Maybe one of the scholars has any websites to share? Right, okay. Actually, I have a website. It's for PMB. It's gamified assessments. Yeah, so you could try that out. There are practice questions for PMB's assessments for the game style questions, and for Petronas, if I'm not mistaken, it's high review. But high review is very, I think, closed, so they don't give practices. You could search other websites on YouTube and take a look at that. Yeah, I think Rushika, do you have anything for the IQ test?
Actually, for a Shao specifically, it wasn't really an IQ test, but I did take up Khazanah's TSA examination, and I've attached the website in the chat box that I used to prepare, so I hope it helps.
All right, so you guys could take a look at the website that Rishika has shared, and you also could take a look at gamified assessment. Maybe I'll share the website after this, and also higher view on YouTube and other platforms. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Do all of you hold positions like prefects or librarians in school? How much do you think it affects the scholarship? Maybe one of the scholars, Amir, I'm seeing here on my screen.
This is for the positions questions, right?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I was the vice head librarian, but I don't think that the positions matter. What matters is the interview itself, how you present yourself. There are other qualities that you can present other than having experience